Chapter 1000. We have to work hard too, Panin said. Although we're not as strong as the president, we can't be too far behind. I can feel the aura of death in that direction. Helis pointed to the left and said. Just then, a few figures ran over from the fog ahead. They were Foss, Dog, Litgrove, and Bona Twain. Bona Twain's eyes lit up. The people coming towards them all had a magical aura on them. But Professor Foss and Dog didn't feel it. Dog, go and finish them. How hand? Harold stood where she was. A big purple hand suddenly reached out from the ground under Dog's feet and grabbed half of Dog's body. Panin and Eric also transformed at the same time. One turned into a cheetah, and the other into a brown bear. The two of them went up to the dog and started biting it. Dog was instantly covered in wounds. But just then, the fog behind them was suddenly blown away. What's that? A cloud of black fog whizzed over from behind and sent Panin and Eric flying. Panin suddenly turned into an eagle in the air, grabbed Eric, and landed smoothly. Dog and Professor Foss looked at Panin and the others, then at the black fog. They didn't know where the black fog came from, but the black fog seemed to be aggressive. It actually attacked the two people who could turn into animals. This is the fog of death, Harold said. It attacks all living things. Harold took a few steps forward and stretched out her hand. Magic filled her palms. Feel my death. You're no longer a rootless mayfly. Let us merge into one. The death mist began to approach Helis. It could feel the magic power on Helis' body and the death on her body. Let's go. Seeing that the situation was bad, Foss immediately wanted to escape. Harold couldn't stop him. She was busy merging with the fog of death. But Panin and Eric wouldn't let them escape so easily. Dog immediately grabbed Litgrove's neck and threatened. If you keep chasing us, we'll kill them. But just then, a vine shot out of the fog, wrapped around Dog's neck, and lifted him into the air. Forster was so scared that he turned around and ran. The situation here was getting stranger and stranger. As for the dog's life and death, it had nothing to do with him. At that moment, Dog was struggling with all his might. However, the vine around his neck was getting tighter and tighter. It was as if it was about to break his neck. Mord walked out of the fog. The vine was under his control. However, there were many green specks of light hovering around Mord. Mord, why is it you? Panin was somewhat unhappy, because Mord had rashly interfered with their prey. I got separated from the team, Mord said. I ended up running into them. Mord pointed at the green dots around him. Nature's essence. You can actually actively attract nature's essence. Panin's tone revealed a hint of envy. Not far away, Bona Twain also had an envious look in her eyes. Hello, may I know who they are? Bona Twain took the initiative to ask. Supernatural organization. Mord glanced at Bona Twain. The girl was about his age. Bona Twain and Litgrove's eyes were instantly filled with shock. Are they from the supernatural organization? No wonder they were all so powerful. Suddenly, a huge object fell from the sky. Everyone was shocked, and hurriedly took a few steps back. The huge object smashed a huge hole in the ground. Then Gaia walked out of the hole. She was holding a huge head in her other hand. Bona Twain and Litgrove's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Was this big woman friend or foe? And the head in her hand. What kind of monster did it belong to? The head probably weighed a few 100 kilograms, right? Gaia, why are you here? Mord asked. We fought our way into a building, and this monster attacked us. When I was sent flying, I chopped off the monster's head. Were these people the members of the supernatural organization? They're really too powerful. Who knows how many times stronger than me? Bona Twain's eyes were filled with respect and admiration when she looked at them. Who is this guy? Gaia pointed at Dog, whose neck was wrapped around by the vine. Mord put Dog on the ground. Dog immediately attacked Gaia. But the next moment, Gaia punched Dog to make it behave. He caught us, Bona Twain said. Then it's useless. Gaia raised her sword and cut off Dog's neck. Boom, boom, boom. Just then intense and frequent explosions came from the distance. Huh. It's coming from that direction. Gaia looked ahead. From the explosions, it should be Moore's attack. Moore seems to be much stronger. Let's go too. Bona Twain and Litgrove saw that these people didn't plan to pay attention to them, so they followed them. Don't follow us, Gaia said. We're going to fight. I'm not an ordinary person. I'm also a spiritualist. Bona Twain immediately revealed her identity. Me too, Litgrove said. We can help. Just then, a building appeared before them. But it was already in a sea of fire. Klaus and the others stood outside the building with a helpless expression. Klaus, why are you standing here? We were fighting with the monsters inside. Then more came and self-destructed inside. We were almost caught in the explosion, and could only retreat. That's right. That's right. This guy's magic power has improved a lot recently, so he started fighting without any technique. Boom! Suddenly a gigantic arm descended from the sky. This arm was as big as a person. This arm had been blown apart, and there was still charred flesh on it. At the same time, many lizard men ran out of the building. But before Gaia and the others could do anything, the black mist had already enveloped them. Any lizard man that was enveloped by the black mist would instantly lose their vitality. Their bodies dried up and fell to the ground. So scary. These people are so scary, Litgrove whispered. These lizard men were already very scary in their eyes. But when they encountered the supernatural organization, they were like children choosing adults as their opponents. Bona Twain's eyes shone with passion. Was this the supernatural organization? Was this the organization she yearned for? Chapter 1001. Suddenly, the ground of the building exploded. Then a head with 8 spider legs jumped out. There was also a long tail at the back of the monster's head. At the end of the tail was a snake's mouth. Black Candle. Hellies recognized the monster. Be careful. Black Candle's saliva has a petrifying spell. If you touch it, use your magic to resist it. Don't let it corrode you. Just as Hellies reminded them, Gaia charged forward with flames all over his body. Little Grove and Bona Twain's eyes widened. They looked at Gaia's godlike figure. Seeing Gaia charge forward, the Black Candle spat out a large amount of petrifying liquid. However, the moment the liquid approached Gaia, it was evaporated by the flames around Gaia. The flaming sword slashed down, and the Black Candle was cut in half instantly. Instant kill. Both of them were in disbelief. Their shock was indescribable. Just then a few more people came out of the ruins. West and the others also walked out from inside. Phew, we made it out alive. West looked very disheveled. He wiped the sweat off his forehead. More, don't you dare bomb our area again. We almost died because of you. Giselle looked at Moore angrily. You're not allowed to do that again. Is it all done? I don't see any more monsters, West said. That's weird. Where did the president go? He said he was fighting. I don't know what monster he encountered. It actually stalled him. It must be a very powerful and scary monster, if he hasn't come here yet. Should we go look for him? No, West said. If it's a monster that even he can't handle, we'll only be a burden. Should we ask the president? West took out his communicator. President, is your battle over? Not yet. Did you guys solve everything? We've already taken care of it. We've even saved 2 survivors. Oh, 2 survivors? Who is it? Chen Zhao asked. Who are you 2? What's your name? We're both UCLA students, Little Grove said. I'm Little Grove. She's Bona Twain. Oh, is there anyone injured? They look quite normal. They aren't injured, Gaia said. Do you need help? No need. This guy is no match for me. I'll get rid of him soon. West thought about it. Since Chen Zhao could talk to him while fighting, it meant that the enemy wasn't a threat. Then we'll retreat first. All right, you guys can go back first. Gaia put down the communicator and said, All right, the president is fine. Let's leave this place first. Litgrove and Bona Twain left with the others. The 2 of them had a new understanding of spiritualists. These people from the supernatural organization, regardless of gender, were all very strong. 4 of them were even younger than them, but they possessed astonishing battle prowess. Compared to the supernatural organization, the 2 of them were on a completely different level. Bona Twain had been determined to join the supernatural organization, but now, she had no confidence at all. After getting into the car, Bona Twain gathered her courage and asked, Excuse me, is the supernatural organization still recruiting? Everyone turned to look at Bona Twain. West asked, What element are you good at? Illusionist, and also knows a little alchemy magic. What magic level? West asked again. Magic level? Are there levels of magic power? Come with us to the headquarters. I'll test your magic value. West looked at Lit Grove. He is my student. You have a student at such a young age? I just got him. He just awakened not long ago. Okay. When they reached the headquarters, they were shocked by the size of the supernatural organization's headquarters. The association's headquarters had a new look and was huge. There was also the trial pagoda, which stood beside the headquarters, which attracted the two's attention. Unlike the mysterious and hidden place they had imagined, the headquarters was filled with technology and a modern feeling. Wes brought the two to the magic testing room. Both of them were a bit scared. Stand on the magic testing machine and hold the spirit stone wood ball with both hands. Bona Twain went up first. Soon she got her magic value 45. That was really low. Wes thought back to the past. Everyone in the organization had about the same value. But after Chen Zhao came, everything seemed to have changed. Everyone's power was increasing. Even West himself had been a salted fish in the past. But now, his magic value had exceeded 200. A powerful leader could clearly make his subordinates stronger too. There might be strong and weak talents, but hard work was equally important. For example, Jalanash had always thought that she was a magic genius. She was one of the more outstanding ones in the supernatural organization. But after confirming the difference between them, she started to catch up. Although the gap between them had not shrunk, Jalanash's strength had truly improved. Then Lit Grove also went up. His score was even higher, 15. Sir, is our value high or low? Low, very low. How far from the standard? Bona Twain asked. West stood on the magic testing machine himself. It showed the number 209. Bona Twain's expression darkened. She didn't expect her magic value to be 5 times lower than a wizard's. So I'm so far away. How about this? You two can be temporary members of the organization. Of course, you won't get any salary or benefits, but you have to participate in some of the organization's activities. If your magic value exceeds 100, you can become an official member, West said. Also, as members of the association, you will receive a ring that represents your identity, West said. What ring? This. West took out 2 gray rings. Your magic value is level E now. This ring is your magic level. If you go higher, you'll be level D. It's a blue ring. Look at my silver ring. It's level C. The highest is level A. Chapter 1002. So we're members of the supernatural organization now. Bona Twain realized that joining the supernatural organization wasn't as difficult as she'd imagined. You're only temporary members, not official ones. You still have a long way to go. Do you have any IDs? Bona Twain asked. No, West answered. Then if we meet a member that we've never met before, we won't be able to recognize him, right? There are only about 20 people in the organization. How can we not recognize him? You can just recognize everyone in the organization. Are the members at the headquarters? No, our president isn't back yet. Yeah, where's the president? He's still fighting, West said. You'll see him when he comes back. The president is strong, right? Our president is a demon, West said. You can offend anyone in the organization, but if you offend the president, you'll die a horrible death. The last person who offended him was stuffed into a meat grinder. West's words made Bona Twain and Lit Grove shudder involuntarily. Stuff someone into a meat grinder? In their minds, they were already imagining how terrifying this president would be. Does that person have a big grudge against the president? No, that person was only hired to beat up our president. When will the president come back? I don't know. Maybe soon. President, when will you come back? West called Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao picked up the phone. The battle here is about to end. I'll be back soon. Sir, that's $1,230. The waitress stood beside Chen Zhao smiling. To be honest, she'd never seen someone eat so much. He'd eaten $1,200 in one meal. He'd eaten enough for more than 10 people. President, how come I hear another woman's voice? Are you really fighting? While paying, Chen Zhao said, Oh, I just returned to the shopping area outside the forest. Didn't you say you were still fighting? You remembered wrong. I said the battle is over. Just then, Chen Zhao saw someone walk past the restaurant. Keep the change, thanks. Chen Zhao quickly walked out of the restaurant and caught up to the man. Hi, Professor Forsil. Hello. You are. Fosier turned around and saw Chen Zhao. He felt that Chen Zhao looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he'd seen him before. Have you forgotten? We're colleagues, Chen Zhao said warmly. Oh, I remember now. You're that China Chun from the medical school. Where are you going? Can you give me a ride? A smile appeared on Foss's face. Of course, no problem. Chen Zhao got into Fosier's car, but he realized that there was someone else in the car. Chen Zhao wasn't sure if it was a person or a corpse. This was because the man's neck had been severed, and judging from the cut, it was probably done by Gaia's greatsword. However, the flesh on the neck was wriggling around the incision, as if it was sticking together on its own. He's badly hurt. Should we take him to the hospital? Chen Zhao asked. I was going to take him to the hospital. Fosier glanced at Chen Zhao and thought, this China guy is an idiot. He didn't even notice such an unusual situation. Fosier's car left Sandra National Park, but it was clearly not heading toward the city. Professor Fosier, I don't think we're going back to the city. Where are we going? I'm taking you to a good place. But I want to go back. You'll miss home even more later. Fosier picked up his gun and pointed it at Chen Zhao as he drove. Professor Fosier, let's talk. Don't shoot. I won't go back. Chen Zhao looked at the professor helplessly. Just then Dog, who was lying in the back seat, woke up. The first thing Dog did was to touch his neck and move it around. It feels good to be alive. Dog exhaled. Who is he? An idiot who walked into a trap, Professor Fosier said. I think I'm involved in something. If I tell you now that I can pretend that nothing happened and I didn't see anything, will you let me go? Do you think that's possible? Chen Zhao took out his wallet. Here's my cash and credit cards. Take whatever you want. Don't hurt me, okay? Professor Forsyth and Dog both smiled meaningfully. Just then Chen Zhao's phone rang. Pick it up, but you better think carefully. Don't say anything, Professor Fosier threatened. Chen Zhao picked it up. Hello, Fei Lai. Chun, when are you coming back? I might be late tonight. What's up? Would you believe me if I told you that I've been kidnapped? Just then, Professor Fosier pointed the gun at Chen Zhao's head, a warning in his eyes. Fei Lai laughed as if she'd heard the funniest joke in the world. Darling, are you kidding me? I'm serious. Put it on speakerphone. Mr. Kidnapper, you've kidnapped Chen. Please treat him gently. Chen has a bad temper, so don't point a gun at him. He hates it the most. Also, you have to prepare enough dinner. Chen doesn't like to go hungry, and he eats a lot. Chen Zhao turned on the speaker as Fei Lai said, Mr. Kidnapper, you kidnapped Chen. Please treat him gently. Madam, I'll take good care of your man. Even Fosier couldn't tell if the woman was joking or serious. Okay, good luck. Goodbye, Fei Lai said. Chen, come back soon. I don't like sleeping alone. I'll try my best. After hanging up, Chen Zhao turned around and asked, How far are we from our destination? Do you think you still have a chance to escape? No, I didn't think that. Chen Zhao shook his head. I didn't think about escaping. I swear by God. I hope not. Fosier drove the car onto the desert road. Okay, let's get off. There's nothing here. Why did you bring me here? There's nothing on the surface, Dog said. He led the way. After walking for more than 10 minutes, he stopped, as if trying to figure out where he was. Then, Dog walked to a withered tree, moved away a stone next to it, and found a pull ring on the ground. With a clang, a narrow tunnel entrance was pulled open. Chapter 1003. What's the Wi-Fi password here? Chen Zhao asked as he walked in the tunnel. Both Fossil and Dog's faces darkened. China, Chen, you still don't seem to understand your situation. I know, Chen Zhao said. I'm being kidnapped. If you know, then why aren't you afraid? If I tell you that I'm scared, will you let me go? No. So I'll take it easy. Chen Zhao shrugged. Don't take my phone. If I wanted to tell someone, I would have done it long ago. I wouldn't wait until now. Fossil's face darkened. He felt that he had to teach Chen Zhao a lesson. Dog, teach him a lesson. At Fossil's command, Dog reached out to grab Chen Zhao's neck. However, even when the dog grabbed Chen Zhao's neck, he didn't move at all. You're not healed yet. Are you sure you want to fight me? Chen Zhao pulled Dog's hands away. Dog wanted to resist, but he realized that his strength was so insignificant before Chen Zhao. Dog, what's wrong? His strength. Dog's expression was very ugly. Chen Zhao sniffed the dog's body. I smell Potion X. And you, Professor Forsil, you smell Potion X too. You know Drug X? I don't just know. I've dealt with many weapons before. There used to be an underground lab like this about 100 kilometers away from here. I destroyed it. Chen Zhao grinned. Fossil and Dog's expressions darkened. Fossil raised the gun, pointed it at Chen Zhao's head, and pulled the trigger. Bang! Chen Zhao's head tilted back slightly. There was a clear mark on his forehead, but he wasn't hurt at all. No matter how many times, it still hurts to be shot in the head. Who exactly are you? Even a shot in the head couldn't hurt him? The two finally realized that they were in big trouble. Chen Zhao took out his phone. He'd found it in Sandro National Park. Chen Zhao opened the recorded video on his phone and played it for Professor Fossier. Professor Fossier, you don't seem to know, but Lit Grove is my student. I hate this guy, but I don't like others interfering with my education. Do you understand? China-chun, I didn't mean it. He's already been rescued, and he's unharmed. How about we pretend this never happened? I think I've said that before. Chen Zhao smiled at the professor. Since you don't plan on letting me go, I won't leave either. Oh, I was serious when I swore to God. I never thought of running away. Professor Foss looked at the dog. The dog received Professor Foss's gaze and secretly pressed a button on the remote control with its hand that was hidden behind its back. At this moment, a loud roar came from the depths of the tunnel. A huge monster rushed out from the depths of the tunnel. It was this monster again. Chen Zhao had seen it before in the underground lab. This was also Dog's killer move, directly releasing the giant monster in the laboratory. Dog knew how terrifying this monster was. It was definitely the scariest creature on land. The monster was already before them. Foss and Dog exchanged glances. As soon as the monster killed Chen Zhao, they would find a chance to escape. A bronze sword appeared in Chen Zhao's hand. The moment the monster charged over, the bronze sword swept up. The bronze sword swept upwards, and as the green blade swept past, the giant monster was split into two. Foss and Dog both gaped at Chen Zhao in shock. Do you have anything new here? I've already seen this in the lab. Foss and Dog were already confused. This thing was their trump card, but it was instantly killed by Chen Zhao. What was the point of fighting? Moreover, the underground lab was empty. There were only 2 failed products here. Now that one failed product was instantly killed, what could the remaining one do? Oh, you have a self-destruct device here, right? Chen Zhao asked. Don't tell me you don't. I know you do. The two fell silent. They knew that they'd caused big trouble. You're not going to talk? Forget it, I should go home. Just then, Chen Zhao took out a bomb. He'd taken it out of the warehouse when he'd fought the mother. Foss and Dog were both shocked. They didn't understand where Chen Zhao had taken out such a big bomb. No, it wasn't a bomb. It was a missile. However, the design of this missile seemed to be quite old. Also, where did this guy hide the missile? Detonating it became a problem. Chen Zhao took out his phone and called Jalik. Hey Jalik, it's me. I want to know if you have a way to detonate this thing. President, is this the old missile from the underground base last time? Jalik looked at the connected image. Yes, Chen Zhao answered. Direct physical attack. Hit the needle at the head of the missile, and you can detonate it directly. No shit, Chen Zhao said, rolling his eyes. I use it to bomb things, not to kill myself. Is there a way to make it detonate on time? That's complicated, Jalik said. You need to open the cover on the missile. Chen Zhao forcefully pulled off the cover. There was a complicated circuit board inside. Then, break the 2 wires on the top left and connect them together to make a simple circuit. Okay then. Then run. President, you have 30 seconds. Wait, didn't you say it's complicated? I said it's complicated. Also, you have 20 seconds. Fuck. Chen Zhao grabbed Foss and Dog and ran out of the tunnel. Boom. Before Chen Zhao could run 500 meters, the missile exploded. Foss and Dog were also turned to dust in the violent explosion. Chen Zhao had wanted to keep 2 of them alive, but it was to no avail. Both of them had been strengthened by Agent X, but they still couldn't withstand such a terrifying explosion. Moreover, they weren't in an open space but a tunnel. The impact they faced was many times stronger than in an open space. Fuck Jalik, you're dead when I get back. President, you're really not dead. You really did want to kill me. Chen Zhao patted the dust off his body and pushed the rocks off him. Come get me. I'll send you the location, Chen Zhao said. The car he'd been in wasn't spared either. It sank into the ground. Chapter 1004. By the time he got home, it was already midnight. Even though Chen Zhao tried to be careful, he still woke Fei Lai up. Chen, you're back. Yeah. Chen Zhao caressed Fei Lai. He didn't want to wake her up. Ever since she got pregnant, Fei Lai's sleep quality had obviously decreased. Most of the time, a small sound would wake her up. Fei Lai moved her head to Chen Zhao's arm and fell asleep on his shoulder. After Fei Lai fell asleep, Chen Zhao gently moved her head to the pillow. After all, his arm wasn't comfortable. In the morning, Chen Zhao woke up early, which was rare. He prepared breakfast for Fei Lai. Then he sat in the middle of the lake and started practicing. Clatter, clatter. Just then Jerlin's voice sounded. Chen Zhao opened his eyes and saw that Jerlin had actually gone into the water early in the morning. The temperature wasn't high right now. It was less than 10 degrees. Chen Zhao hurriedly went into the water and carried Jerlin to the top of the internal alchemy, using his own body heat to warm her up. Baby, don't play in the water in the morning. Xiao Xiao, don't be scared. Jerlin patted her chest. Her face was slightly red. She was still full of energy. However, Jerlin was still too young. She wasn't even half a year old. She was much healthier than other kids her age, but Chen Zhao still didn't want her to be too reckless. She didn't know what was important, but Chen Zhao couldn't just ignore her. Nevertheless, Jerlin's body was really good. She could already swim from the shore to the center of the lake by herself. Of course, she went with the flow most of the time. Because the waterfall next to the house kept falling, the water kept flowing out. Little Jerlin relied more on her own buoyancy instead of swimming. If she had to swim to the shore, she wouldn't be able to. Of course, she didn't worry about not being able to reach the shore at home. Apart from King Kong, all the other animals in the house could swim. Many of them were night owls and would be noisy at night. So, no matter if Jerlin went in during the day or at night, Chen Zhao didn't have to worry about anything happening. After Fei Lai finished breakfast, she also swam over. At the same temperature, Chen Zhao wasn't worried about anything happening to her. However, when Fei Lai approached the center of the lake, he still went into the water and brought her to the top of the internal alchemy. The family of 3 and the baby in Fei Lai's stomach enjoyed the cool morning breeze. The inner elixir kept releasing spirit qi. This was the inner elixir that Old Turtle had refined for thousands of years. Its spiritual qi was so abundant that it was even purer and thousands of times more vast than Chen Zhao's own magic power. Whether it was young Jerlin or Fei Lai, it was good for them to have more contact with the inner core. While the family was enjoying the morning view of the lake, a car stopped in front of their house. Honey, it's Steven's car. What is this old man doing here so early in the morning? So annoying. Chen Zhao swam to the shore and wiped his head. Steven walked over with a smile. Steven, what are you doing here instead of shooting a new movie? They haven't even turned on yet. Steven rolled his eyes. I really envy that family. They can enjoy such a good time. Get me some breakfast. Chen Zhao brought a Chinese breakfast to Steven. What are you doing here today? James wants to shoot a promotional video and wants to borrow your place, Steven said. Why didn't he tell me himself? My face is big, Steven said. What promotional video? It's Baroness Zola's clothing brand. She hired James to shoot a promotional video. Fine. When is it shooting? Since it was Zola's business, Chen Zhao couldn't reject. Even if he didn't count his relationship with Rasfa, Zola was quite close to him. Tomorrow. Sure. Tell James to contact me for the details. Just then, Fei Lai returned to the shore with young Jerlin. Fei Lai returned to her room and changed before greeting Steven. Steven, are you eating lunch here? Of course, unless Chin chases me away. Chen Zhao looked at Stephen with a dark expression. Fei Lai was just being polite. You should say that I'm busy and won't disturb you. Fuck, I don't care. Anyway, I'm staying for lunch, Stephen said. Fantas, go and bring my things in. What things? Stephen didn't come empty-handed today. Fantas brought in a few big boxes. Chen Zhao picked up a box. It contained a large packaged lobster. Chen Zhao switched to another box. It contained a white truffle that weighed around 500 grams. These were all high-end ingredients. For example, the white truffle in Chen Zhao's hands was worth at least $10,000. Don't eat the lobster, Fei Lai. Anything else is fine. This is French foie gras. I don't need to explain its nutritional value. You know it better than me. Are you sure it won't lose its flavor with this packaging? It's all vacuum-packed, so it won't lose its flavor. It's also produced within 36 hours. The supplier is a West Coast company. Is this company famous? Chen Zhao asked curiously. West Coast is the most famous company for high-end ingredients in North America, Stephen said. Stephen said, the West Coast company doesn't sell in large quantities. They only buy and sell all kinds of high-grade ingredients in limited quantities. Now there's one more item on their list of ingredients, your wine. They have a supply. Of course they have their own channels. They're also asking about the source of the nameless wine. You're not here to lobby for them, are you? Huh. They did ask me. But I'm not planning to lobby for them. How do they know you know the source of the wine? I usually provide the nameless wine and purple brew at parties. After a while they guess that I know the source. You're really not here to lobby for them? Of course. How much can they pay me? A few $100,000. And it's a few million. I can get hundreds of millions of dollars for any endorsement. Why would they want me to be their lobbyist? Fine. Chen Zhao didn't doubt Stephen's influence and appeal at all. Stephen's name alone was worth a fortune. As far as Chen Zhao knew, Stephen's endorsement fee for a top-tier luxury car was $120 million for 3 years. That luxury car brand had to provide Stephen with 3 luxury cars of that brand every year, all of which were worth millions, or even tens of millions of dollars. Stephen just didn't take many endorsements. He only took this one. If he needed money, he just had to spread the word that he was going to take an endorsement. Chapter 1005. After lunch, Stephen took his leave. Chen Zhao also received a call. It was from Kashiri. Hello, Mr. Chen. Is your student still coming to work? Are you talking about Lit Grove? He hasn't gone to work yet? Yes. Kashiri was willing to help Chen Zhao as much as he could. But some positions couldn't be empty forever. However, some positions couldn't be left empty all the time. Someone had to be arranged to fill them. I'll let him know and have him go to work. After hanging up, Chen Zhao called Lit Grove. Lit, I heard you're back. Mr. Chen. Lit Grove's tone faltered. Then he revealed a hint of arrogance. What's up? Have you forgotten your job? Hearing that, Little Grove was infuriated. Mr. Chen, I'll repeat myself. I won't be a morgue guard anymore. Not now and not in the future. Are you sure? I'm not afraid of you, Lit Grove said. Fine. I hope you won't regret it. Chen Zhao hung up. Actually, Lit Grove was a bit flustered at the moment. After all, Chen Zhao had something on him. After some thought, Lit Grove decided to talk to Bona Twain first. Ms. Bona. Yes. I've told you before about the university teacher. He's coming to find trouble with me again. Do you have any ideas? Where is he now? Bona Twain asked. Ms. Bona, what do you plan to do? Teach him a lesson, of course, so that he won't dare to cause trouble for you again. He's very good at fighting. Don't forget that we're spiritualists, Bona Twain said. We also have the supernatural organization behind us. But he still has something on me. It's fine. I'll put a curse on him, and he won't dare to cause trouble for you again. Fine. What should I do? Ask him out for a meeting. Leave the rest to me. Mr. Chen, I want to meet with you. Meet with me? Meet with what? Didn't you say you weren't going to obey my orders? I don't think we have anything to talk about. I just want to talk to you about this. Chen Zhao didn't know what Lit Grove was planning. Was he going to find a few more people to beat him up? He shouldn't be that stupid, right? After all, he had already been cheated once because of this. Chen Zhao didn't believe that he would be stupid enough to screw himself over a second time. Where do you want to talk? You choose the place. Then let's do it at Shallow Water Park, Chen Zhao said calmly. Chen Zhao also wanted to see what Lit Grove was planning. If he really wanted to do something stupid again, it would be easier for him to make a move. There were not many people in Shallow Water Beach Park, so it was convenient for him to do it himself. Sure, Shallow Water Beach Park, Lit Grove agreed readily. Ritter Grove secretly rejoiced. He'd been worried that Chen Zhao would find a crowded place and not fight in front of everyone. He didn't expect Chen Zhao to choose such a remote place. In the afternoon, Chen Zhao drove to Shallow Water Park. America's infrastructure was very complete. For example, there were more than 100 open parks in Los Angeles alone. As a result, most parks were uninhabited. People would only go to a few well-known parks. Shallow Water Beach Park was a remote place with few people coming and going. When Chen Zhao arrived at Shallow Water Park, he saw a few hoodlums in the distance. Ignoring them, Chen Zhao found a place to sit down. However, just because Chen Zhao ignored them didn't mean that they would ignore him. Chen Zhao hadn't even warmed up when the gangsters came to him. Hey, Yellow Monkey, do you know where this is? Chen Zhao lifted his eyelids and looked at the gangsters before him. Shallow Water Park. Of course. I'm telling you that this is Crocodile Gang's territory. Secluded parks would generally become a gathering place for hooligans and scoundrels. This also caused some tourists who'd planned to come here to relax to not come anymore. It could be said that these secluded parks were the hotbeds of gangs. They would often do some illegal transactions here. Some might even commit some vicious crimes. For example, right now, they had their eyes on Chen Zhao. Oh, Chen Zhao replied nonchalantly. Looks like I need to teach you manners. The gangsters were already rubbing their palms, wanting to teach Chen Zhao a memorable lesson. Just then Lit Grove and Bona Twain came in from outside. What are you afraid of? What's there to be afraid of? Bona Twain looked at Lit Grove in annoyance. Bona Twain was very disdainful of Lit Grove's cowardice and hesitation. You should have the pride of a spiritualist. He's just a regular person. You might be able to beat him right now. I heard that guy crippled a professional boxer, Lit Grove said. Bona Twain froze. Then she said, don't worry. We're spiritualists. We don't rely on our fists. At this moment, the two of them stopped in their tracks. They saw a few people in front. There. Lit Grove saw Chen Zhao surrounded by a few hoodlums. Looks like someone's already one step ahead of us. I hope those gangsters can teach that guy a lesson. Bona Twain had the mentality of watching a show, and did not mind if things got out of hand. If those gangsters could teach Chen Zhao a lesson, then they wouldn't have to do anything. Judging from Chen Zhao's clothes, they were clearly worth a few $1,000s. Your clothes are nice. A gangster reached out to pull Chen Zhao's clothes. Chen Zhao pushed the gangster away and stood up. Don't touch my clothes. You can't afford it. Can't afford it? We're not going to pay. Are you going to take it off yourself, or do we help you? Take out your wallet. Your pants are nice too. Take them off. A few gangsters walked up and tried to pull Chen Zhao's clothes. Crack. Chen Zhao had already broken a hoodlum's arm and slapped him in the face. I told you don't touch my clothes. Bastard, how dare you fight back? Beat him up. Chen Zhao lifted a foot, and the gangster flew several meters away. He clutched his stomach and couldn't stand up anymore. Then he threw an uppercut. The gangster in front of him spat out blood and fell to the ground. His chin had been smashed. The other gangsters couldn't escape their fate either. With a left punch and a right kick, more than 10 gangsters were all beaten to the ground by Chen Zhao. Crack! Chen Zhao stepped on the leg of a gangster beside him. Accompanied by the gangster's pained cries, the scene became chaotic. Chapter 1006. You don't want to, right? Screams filled the air. Not far away, Lit Grove and Bona Twain gulped. Is that guy really a university professor? Why do I feel like he's even more brutal than those gangs? Can you handle him? No problem. Bona Twain couldn't back down now either. The gangsters in front had all been stripped by Chen Zhao. Take out all the money you have on you. I only have $10. You want to rob me with just $10? The gangsters wanted to cry but had no tears. Why did they ask for trouble? They were beaten up badly and stripped naked. In the end, even their money was stolen. Let's go up, Bona Twain said. Lit Grove plucked up his courage and followed Bona Twain forward. Seeing the two, Chen Zhao glanced at Bona Twain. Is she your girlfriend? Why did you bring her here? I'm not his girlfriend. I'm his teacher. Chen Zhao studied Bona Twain. Did you graduate from university? Why do I feel like you're younger than him? Cut the crap. He and I are here to lay our cards on the table. You know about him? Chen Zhao asked. I know, Bona Twain said. His business is my business now. Oh, so you're saying that you're going to look at the morgue in his place? Who said that? I'm not going to look at the morgue. He won't either. Everyone has to be responsible for their own actions, just like those gangsters, Chen Zhao said indifferently. If you keep bothering Lit, I won't go easy on you. Oh, how will you go easy on me? Bona Twain chanted a spell silently. Weaken. A beam of light shot toward Chen Zhao, but it disappeared when it landed on Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao suddenly grabbed Bona Twain's neck and lifted her into the air. So you're a little witch. An evil smile appeared on Chen Zhao's face. No wonder you're so brave. Bona Twain's neck was grabbed by Chen Zhao. She waved her hands to grab Chen Zhao's arm. But nothing happened. Her magic did not work. Let go of her. Seeing how cruel Chen Zhao was, Lit Grove immediately went up to kick him. Chen Zhao lifted his leg and kicked Lit Grove's stomach. Ritter Grove flew out and crashed heavily into the tree behind him. Light Grove kept vomiting blood from his mouth. Chen Zhao casually tossed Bona Twain onto the ground. Bona Twain was panting heavily. She felt like she was about to suffocate. Chen Zhao squatted before Bona Twain. Little witch, you're so weak, but you dared to provoke others. Aren't you too daring? Chen Zhao saw the wallet fall out of Bona Twain's pocket. He picked it up. There was a student card inside. Chen Zhao took it and looked at it. Bona Twain, so you're a freshman. A smile appeared on Chen Zhao's face. Since you came prepared, I can't disappoint you. I'll treat you in my own way. Bona Twain and Lit Grove were extremely afraid of Chen Zhao. This guy was too scary. They weren't on the same level at all. Chen Zhao tossed them into the trunk. They were terrified. They didn't know what they would face, or how Chen Zhao would deal with them. What do we do now? What do we do? That guy will kill us, right? It's okay. Don't panic. We can ask HQ for help, Bona Twain said in the dark. She hurriedly took out her phone and called West. Hey Bona, what's up? Mr. West, we've been kidnapped. Come and save us. Are you kidding? No, it's true. Lit and I have been kidnapped. We're locked in the trunk of a car. We don't know where they're taking us. Who's the guy? A university professor. He's so scary. He's Lit's teacher. He has a grudge against Lit, so I wanted to speak up for him. But he attacked us. You can't beat him. We can't. Come and save us. Bona Twain was only a little girl. She'd never experienced something like this. Wait, don't hang up. Wes called Jalag over. Jalag took the phone. Bona, don't panic. Send me your location. I'll track you. Okay, I've already found your location. You're heading out of the city. We'll go and save you immediately. Bona Twain heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Jalag's words. It's okay. The association has already sent people to save us. We'll be fine. Just then they felt the car stop. Then the trunk was opened, and Chen Zhao dragged the two out. They looked around. They were at the foot of a mountain in a forest. Where is this? I'll kill you and bury you in the mountain. Chen Zhao smiled at them. The two almost peed their pants. Lit Grove looked at Chen Zhao in terror. Mr. Chen, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please let me go. Fine, I was just joking. I won't kill you. After all, you're still kids. Hearing Chen Zhao's words, the two heaved a sigh of relief. I'm joking now, Chen Zhao said. You both have licenses, so you're adults. Adults should be responsible for their actions. I'll be responsible. I'll go check the morgue. Let's go take a walk in the mountain, Chen Zhao invited warmly. But neither of them was willing to move. Just then Bona Twain lifted her arm. Do you know what this is? Chen Zhao was confused. What? Are you going to use some spell on me? Little girl, you're too weak. Give up. You're not my match. Don't waste your pitiful magic power. I mean the ring on my finger, Bona Twain said. Bona Twain said. This is the symbol of the supernatural organization. We're members of the supernatural organization, and we've already notified them. If you dare hurt us, they won't let you off. Puffed. Chen Zhao chuckled. He didn't believe them at all. In the association, you could get a ring as long as you paid to have your magic power tested. It wasn't strange at all. Plus, if they were members of the supernatural organization, how could he not know? Okay, stop talking. Let's go into the mountain. Just then, there was a whistle in the distance. A helicopter appeared above them. Chapter 1007. Is the person down there the president? West asked. Looks like maybe. Klaus couldn't be sure either. The atmosphere on the helicopter turned heavy. The helicopter landed slowly, and a group of people walked toward Chen Zhao. How is it? Scared now? Bona Twain looked at Chen Zhao proudly. Lit Grove was excited too. Seeing Klaus and the others fully armed, he felt like he'd found his support. Chen Zhao rubbed his nose and watched them run over. How did you know I was here? West glanced at Lit Grove and Bona Twain. President. President? Lit Grove and Bona Twain's expressions froze instantly. Before the pride and happiness could fade from their faces, they heard West's words and felt like they'd been struck by lightning. President? He's the president of the supernatural organization? At that moment, the two felt like the sky had collapsed. President, the two of them? West looked at the two ashen-faced men. One is my student, but on the first day we met, he found someone to beat me up. As for this girl, she's going to stand up for him. West and the others covered their heads. The two were asking for death. They could have offended anyone, but they had to offend Chen Zhao. At the moment, the two were completely dumbfounded. They'd only joined the supernatural organization 2 days ago. However, they had heard a lot of legends about this president. For example, narrow-mindedness, brutality, and terror. In the supernatural organization, the president was like a demon king. Every time they asked for information about the president that they had never met before, the members of the association all revealed a look of fear. Their eyes were filled with respect, and their tone was careful. Now they finally confirmed that the scary guy before them was the president of the supernatural organization. President, I haven't had the time to tell you yet. The two of them just joined our association yesterday, and are now our temporary members. Chen Zhao narrowed his eyes at the two. The two looked at Chen Zhao trembling. They waited for Chen Zhao's judgment. Right now they were panicking to the extreme. They'd thought that the people from the organization would save them. But after coming here, they realized that Chen Zhao was the real boss. Unknowingly, they had become Chen Zhao's subordinates. But they still provoked him. Come on, let's enter the mountain. Guild leader, should we leave now? West asked. They were fully armed. They had thought that there would be a big battle. So facing Chen Zhao like this was too awkward. If Chen Zhao was unhappy, they would be in trouble too. Before you came, you treated me as an enemy, right? No, absolutely not. West quickly waved his hands. That's good. Since you're here, let's go meet an old friend. President, I don't think there are any old friends in this mountain. Have you forgotten? Those crypt demons. Are you guys unwilling to go? No, I'm definitely willing to go, West answered with a sad face. Let's go. We won't lose the helicopter if we leave it here, right? The group entered the mountains. Chen Zhao thought it was an outing, but the others weren't so free. Their hearts were heavy, and their footsteps were heavy. It was the same for Lit Grove and Bona Twain. They didn't even know where they were going. Mr. West, where are we going now? The entrance to hell. West glanced at the two annoyed. Mr. West, Mr. Chen, President isn't going to kill us, right? I want to kill you too right now, West said, gritting his teeth. West, what exactly are those crypt demons? Klaus asked. A bunch of scary monsters, West said. But we'll be fine as long as we follow the president. Back then, he killed so many monsters that they were all scared. But I hope he won't feed them to the crypt demons. Hearing West's words, the two's legs turned to jelly. How are they compared to the monsters in the Tower of Trials? Klaus asked. They're stronger than the monsters on the first level, West said. And much stronger. What's the Tower of Trials? Bona Twain asked curiously. Why are you asking so many questions? You should think about how to make the president forgive you first. Will he kill us? If he wants to, he would have done it long ago. Do you think you can still stand here? Finally, they reached the entrance to the underground relic. President, are we really going in? After entering the relic, the atmosphere immediately became oppressive and heavy. President, I feel something in the darkness. Yeah, the crypt demons have already discovered us. They're watching us in the darkness. Will they attack us? No, Chen Zhao said. They recognized me. Everyone looked at Chen Zhao with a strange expression. At this moment, a figure appeared in the darkness and blocked their path. Hum, 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 the crypt demon let out a squeak. Everyone was ready to fight. Chen Zhao walked toward the crypt demon indifferently. The demon was even more nervous than the people behind Chen Zhao. It took 2 steps back. Lit Grove and Bona Twain looked behind Chen Zhao. As expected of a demon king, such a monster actually retreated when it saw Chen Zhao. Hey old friend, I remember you. I think I made that wound on your body. Old friend. They were clearly enemies, right? Chen Zhao didn't know how they communicated. In the end, the crypt demon led the way. When they reached the underground pyramid, Lit Grove and Bona Twain's eyes widened. However, the most terrifying thing was the entrance of the pyramid. Many crypt demons were there. All the crypt demons looked at the intruders with unfriendly gazes. Just then a female crypt demon walked out of the crypt demons. It seemed that they had a new queen. Chen Zhao walked up and started talking to the queen. Basically, Chen Zhao talked and the crypt demons listened. The crypt demons couldn't speak the human language, but they could understand. Alright, I've already talked to them. You two can stay here. Ha! Both of them screamed in pain. 3 days, Chen Zhao said. If you stay here for 3 days, I'll forget about your offense today. Of course, I'm a democratic person. I can reject just like that. We can really reject. Chapter 1008. Chen Zhao left Lit Grove and Bona Twain outside the pyramid. He went into the pyramid to see his old friend. At the top of the pyramid, Chen Zhao saw the old crypt demon. It was the only demon that could communicate with Chen Zhao directly. Of course, it didn't speak with words. It communicated with his mind. Human, why did you come back here? The old crypt demon lay on the ground. After Chen Zhao came, it still didn't move. It was too old, and no one could escape the fate of life, death, illness, and old age. I don't have any bad intentions, Chen Zhao said. I have 2 juniors. I plan to leave them here. Help me scare them. Other than that, not long ago, I met another crypt demon tribe, Chen Zhao said. They also raised a wild boar monster. Hearing Chen Zhao's description, the old crypt demon stood up abruptly. It didn't have eyes, but Chen Zhao could feel its excitement. There are other races besides us? The old crypt demon asked in disbelief. Is what you said true? And they have Nissan species. Nissan species? What's that? Chen Zhao asked, confused. The wild boar monster you mentioned. We call it Nissan species, the old crypt demon said. The old crypt demon said. They were once specially reared as meat by our race. Just like how you humans rear cattle, sheep and pigs. You know about us humans? A long, long time ago, I once captured a few humans. They were brought before me. And then they died of old age here. I also learned many things about human society from their mouths. How old are you? According to your human calendar, I should be close to 200 years old. The old crypt demon said. Can you help us get the Nissan seed? Get the Nissan species? Chen Zhao hesitated. The outside world is now ruled by you humans. If we leave this place, we will definitely be wiped out by you humans. Normally, we can only eat the earth locust or capture you humans. If we have the Nissan species, then we don't have to worry about our food source. And we don't have to actively attack you humans. What's an earth locust? This is a creature that hides deep underground. It is also our main source of food. In the past, we ate the Nissan species. Then even if I get the Nissan species here, you guys are just like that? The Nissan also needs to eat. They can eat the earth locust. In fact, in the past, we used to feed the earth locust to the Nissan species. And then the Nissan species used them as meat. I can help you think of something. On behalf of our clan, I would like to express our respect to you and thank you for your help. The civilization of a race was not determined by how smart a single individual was. For a race like the crypt demons, their individual intelligence level wasn't much different from that of humans. But their population was too small, perhaps less than 1,000. Such a number would probably remain the same even after another 10,000 years. Humans were able to reach their current level of civilization because they had a large population and a long time. Chen Zhao wasn't worried that the crypt demons would rule Earth one day. What a joke! If they had such thoughts, they would probably be exterminated the next day. When they left the underground and the darkness, only death awaited them. Plus, they had a strong photophobia. Chen Zhao walked out of the pyramid with a smile. Let Bona stay here. I told them that they'll take good care of you. Oh, you still have a chance to taste the crypt demon's special delicacies. Chen Zhao took out an invertebrate that was more than a meter long. It looked like an enlarged earthworm. This is an earth locust. I heard that it's very nutritious. President, I won't do it again. Please spare me. Bona Twain was about to cry. Spare you? Ha! That's impossible. Chen Zhao turned and left. Bona Twain wanted to chase after him, but a few crypt demons blocked her way. The others followed behind Chen Zhao. Wes came to Chen Zhao's side. President, isn't this a bit inappropriate? They're still kids after all. Yeah, I think so too. How about you stay and take care of them? Kids should be taught well in case they don't know their place in the future. President's decision is very wise. I fully support it. Inside the crypt demon relic, the two were already in conflict. It's all your fault, all your fault. Bona Twain pointed at Lit Grove crying. You said that the president bullied you. Why didn't you say that you provoked him first? Great, now you've dragged me down too. Lit Grove's face was filled with fear. Quiet. You'll attract the crypt demon's attention. It's all your fault, all your fault. Ritter Grove felt wronged as well. How could he know that he'd provoked a terrifying demon king? It was too late to say anything now. The searchlights in their hands didn't have much battery left. After a few hours, they were starting to dim. Along the way, no one dared to talk to Chen Zhao. Do you think we should raise a few crypt demons to guard the house? President, will they listen to us? What if they go crazy and kill ordinary people? Whatever, I'm just asking. At the foot of the mountain, they left in a helicopter. On the other hand, Chen Zhao drove back. Lapel, there's a party tonight. Dress up nicely. Hyson, I'm not free tonight, Lapel said. She knew the nature of Hyson's party. She didn't want to dress up and send herself to the tiger's mouth. If she fell into the trap, her life would be over. Lapel, I'm not discussing with you. You have to come tonight. There are many important guests at the party. Don't you want to be in the entertainment industry? If you catch the eye of one or two of them, it's not impossible for you to get a role on the big screen. Many agents use this to trick young and ignorant women. Many women were tricked by this every year. But Lapel knew very well what level Hyson was at. He was just a second-rate model agent. How could he know any big shots? What kind of high-end party could he attend? Stop joking. There were only a few people in Hollywood who could decide their own roles. Chapter 1009. Hyson, I really don't have time, and I have an interview tomorrow. I need to be in my best condition, Lepore said. Hyson's tone suddenly turned unpleasant. Lepore, are you sure you want to refuse my request? Lepore's expression was a little ugly. After all, if she fell out with Hyson, Hyson would directly freeze her and cut off her path of retreat. Then, her life would become very difficult. After all, Hyson had arranged all of her jobs. If Hyson didn't arrange a job for her, Lepore would have nothing to eat in 10 days. Hyson, I really can't go. Then forget it. Hyson's tone became cold. Lepore knew that the situation was not good. If she fell out with Hyson, she would have to change an agent. But she was the weaker party. Changing an agent meant that she would have to start all over again. If she was a famous model or artist, many agencies would be willing to sign her. But for an unknown model like Lepore, there were too many beautiful women in Los Angeles who could replace her. Even if she jumped down from the tallest building in Los Angeles, she wouldn't be on the entertainment news. She would most likely be on the social news. Moreover, she was not in the best stage of development. The best stage of development for a model was between 13 and 16 years old. The golden age for a model was between 20 and 25 years old, which was even shorter than the professional lifespan of an athlete. Lepore had been a model since she was a teenager, and she was now 22 years old. If she had to start all over again, her career would probably be greatly affected. After all, other modeling agencies would rather sign new models, who were younger and had more development potential, than sign older models like Lepore, who had no reputation at all. Wait, I'll go. Send me the address. Lepore had no choice but to compromise. That's a good girl. You're not young anymore. You should find a way out for yourself. Lepore was indignant, but she had no other choice. However, if she went alone, she would definitely be sending herself into a tiger's mouth. But who should she find to go with her? After thinking for a while, Lepore suddenly thought of someone. Chenjiao. He seemed to be a good candidate, but she didn't know if he would be willing to help her. Lepore decided to give it a try. She dialed Chenjiao's phone number. Hello teacher, I'm Raphael. What is it? Are you going to pay me back? No. Raphael curled his lips. Does this guy only remember that I owe him money? Then what is it? Teacher, I have a party and I need a male companion. Not interested. Go find a boy yourself. There should be many boys in school who would be willing to be your partner. Chenjiao rejected her decisively. In America, which was a country that advocated freedom, teacher-student relationships were taboo. Even if both parties were adults, a teacher-student relationship was not allowed. This was because the United States had a rule called the taboo of power. For example, between a student and a teacher, the teacher would be the one with the power, while the student would be the one being dominated and threatened. Therefore, if a teacher-student relationship was exposed, the lightest punishment would be investigation and punishment by the school. If it was more serious, the school might even prosecute them. Chenjiao didn't want to lose his reputation just to get Boer. Teacher, I really need help. I have to go to that party, but it's not safe for me to go alone. What party? Chenjiao frowned. A party organized by my manager, Raphael said. In other words, I only need to protect you from being harassed by those people? Yes, Raphael answered. Okay, where are you now? Chenjiao thought about it. Since Raphael really needed help, he had to help as a teacher. I'm at home. After saying goodbye to Feilai, Chenjiao left. Chenjiao drove to Raphael's house. Raphael's house was a small villa in a high-end neighborhood. The monthly rent was probably a few $1,000s. A while later, Raphael came out. Seeing Chenjiao's car, his face turned purple. Chenjiao drove his rural pickup truck. Teacher, is this your car? Yes. Don't you have any other cars? Yes, it's not convenient, Chenjiao replied. After all, he had 2 other cars at home. One was a sports car. Ever since Feilai got pregnant, it had been rusting in the garage. Feilai usually drove a small truck when she went out. The space inside a sports car wasn't suitable for a pregnant woman. Chenjiao didn't like to drive sports cars either. He preferred driving a small truck. The other one was an RV, which would be too conspicuous if he drove it out. Unless a family went somewhere to play, they wouldn't drive an RV out. Teacher, your car can't even get past the security guards of the manor, Raphael said helplessly. She'd heard that the party was in Beverly Hills. Are you going to get in my car or not? Never mind. Raphael could only sit in Chenjiao's car. When they reached the manor, she thought, I'll just have Chenjiao park the car at the entrance. Raphael only felt that Chenjiao's driving was steady. The speed was neither fast nor slow. It was so steady that there weren't any bumps. Moreover, Chenjiao followed all the traffic rules. This was completely different from the American people. Most of the citizens of the United States played the role of traffic rule breakers. As for drunk driving, it was a common occurrence. In the United States, the number of traffic accidents caused by drunk drivers was 10 times that in China. Of course, this was also because America had many cars. Teacher, you must be a boring person. Why do you say that? I can see your personality from the way you drive. You don't have any adventurous spirit. Your daily life must be calm too. You have a good job, and live your life peacefully. Really? Chenjiao always felt that traffic rules should be followed. In accidents caused by breaking traffic rules, it wasn't the person who was hurt the most. It was the other person. Chen Zhao didn't think that he was good at driving. Even if he drove 100 kilometers and crashed into a wall, he might not be hurt. But if he crashed into someone or another car, it was almost murder. A while later, the two arrived at Beverly Hills. What's the address? Chen Zhao asked. Raphael gave him the address. Here. Chapter 10:10. Park the car here, Lepore said. You can't drive in with your car. How about we bet $100? I can drive in. Here's $100. Lepore didn't even think before betting with Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao drove the car to the gate. The servant checking invitations at the door saw Chen Zhao's car and immediately moved aside, letting Chen Zhao in. Chen Zhao turned his head and glanced at Lepore. Thank you for the $100. Lepore was a bit surprised. Is the management here so lax? Chen Zhao would come here once or twice a month. Everyone here knew him, especially when the housekeeper of the Dell family was Mary. Lepore realized that Chen Zhao was very familiar with the place. Usually, when guests came to parties, they would park their cars by the aisle. However, Chen Zhao went straight to the garage. Moreover, he could find the garage precisely in such a large manner. Teacher, you've been here before? Yes, get out. As soon as Chen Zhao got out, Mary appeared in the garage. Hi, darling. Mary glanced at Lepore, who had gotten out of the car, and then looked at Chen Zhao with a dark expression. Chen, who's this woman? You know that she's pregnant, but you can't come out and mess around. Mary, you're mistaken. She's my student. Apart from that, we have nothing to do with each other. Really? Really? Chen Zhao shrugged. I'm here to accompany her to the party. I'll keep an eye on her later. If anyone harasses her, kick them out. Okay, I'm not here anymore. I still have a lot of things to do. With that, Mary turned and left. Lepore looked at Chen Zhao. Who is she? She's Mary, the housekeeper here. No wonder Chen Zhao was so familiar with the place. He knew the housekeeper, Lepore thought. Lepore arrived at the manor. Looking at the size, she couldn't help but click her tongue. The size of the manor was unimaginably large. Just the swimming pool alone was bigger than the apartment she was renting, not to mention the rest. The owner is very rich, right? A major shareholder of CAA, Chen Zhao said. Lepore was shocked. A major shareholder of CAA was one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. If you're in trouble, go find Mary, Chen Zhao said. I won't stay with you. Where are you going? I'll go greet someone I know. Oh, all right then. Chen Zhao went to Risfar's manor. After all, they were already here. Whether it was Dell or Risfar, they had to greet them. Chen Zhao was also familiar with Risfar's family, so he easily entered the house. Hi Chen, why are you here? Risfar had heard from the guard that Chen Zhao was here, so he came out to welcome him. One of my students came to Dell's party, Chen Zhao said. I only found out about Dell's party when I came, so I came to say hi to you. I have to go later. Then let's go together, Risfar said. Is Laura not at home? She took Vera and Ronnie to New York to play. I'm the only one at home. Just then his phone rang. Hey Chen, I heard from Mary that you're here. Where are you now? Why can't I find you? I'm at Risfar's place. We're planning to go together. Oh, then I'll wait for you. With that, Dell hung up. Hyson found Lepore, and when he saw Lepore's exquisite makeup, his eyes couldn't help but light up. Lepore, come here. I'll introduce a few friends to you. Lepore's eyes flashed as she looked at Hyson. She seemed hesitant. You're already here. What are you waiting for? It's good for you to make more friends. Lepore had no choice but to follow Hyson to the garden. There were two people sitting in the garden. When they saw Hyson and Lepore, their eyes lit up. Hi, Mr. White, Mr. Wilson. Hyson went up to greet them. She's Lepore, my model. Hyson tugged at Lepore. Lepore, Mr. White is an independent film director. He's directed several movies. Mr. Wilson is a famous screenwriter. When Raphael heard about independent films, he had already lost interest. What was an independent film? It was an artistic film that broke away from the producer system of Hollywood. It was self-funded and even self-directed. It couldn't be said that independent films had no influence, but they were undeniably a minority. If it were one of the top independent film directors, Lepore might be interested. But this White, she had never heard of him at all. Hyson was telling the truth. White was indeed an independent film director. But to be precise, he was just an assistant director, or an assistant director. Miss Lepore, you're really good. Are you interested in entering the big screen? If you are, I can help you choose a few good roles. Lepore, haven't you always wanted to be in a movie? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and thank Mr. White. Thank you, Mr. White. Miss Lepore, I can also tailor a movie script for you. Why don't we discuss it in depth? White and Wilson took turns to throw sugar-coated bullets at her. Lepore smiled insincerely. She always had an unapproachable attitude. She didn't accept or reject. She offered to give a role, and a tailor-made script the first time they met? What did she have to do? It was impossible. Miss Lepore, I've provided scripts to many famous directors. For example, I'm one of the co-writers for Sea Patrol. Many scenes were written by me. Wilson took the initiative to elevate his status. The so-called co-writer was actually a small scriptwriter in the editing team, or even just an assistant scriptwriter. But now, anyone who was even a little bit related to Stephen would become superior. And the two of them often used this to deceive some inexperienced girls. Thank you, Mr. White. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I still have something to do. I'll leave first. Lepore was sure that the two wanted to trick her. Seeing that Lepore was about to leave, the two's expressions changed. They turned to look at Hyson. Hyson immediately stopped Lepore. Lepore, what are you doing? I asked you to come here to introduce people to you. Is this your attitude? Hyson, I know what you're up to, Lepore said coldly. Chapter 10-11. Lepore turned around and left. Hyson had made it clear. People with different principles could not make plans together. However, Hyson was not willing to be stood up by Lepore. It was a real loss. Lepore, stop. Hyson grabbed Lepore again. Do you want to stay in the modeling circle or not? This was the killer move he used to threaten his models. Hyson couldn't ban Lepore. But for models like Raphael, who was old and had nothing outstanding, it was very likely that he would stay on the runway for a few more years and leave the modeling circle when he was 24 or 25. If a model had been in the industry for 3 years and still wasn't famous, then she might not have the chance to become famous again. Nowadays, all the famous models, without exception, were either 18 or 19 years old, or had become famous when they were 18 or 19. Raphael tried to shake it off but failed. Let go. Hyson tightened his grip. Lepore, you have to agree today. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Let go. Lepore, do you want to stay in the modeling circle or not? I want to terminate the contract. Terminate the contract? If you want to terminate the contract before the contract expires, you have to pay $200,000. Can you afford it? Just then a voice came. Let go of me. Mary rushed over. Hyson and Lepore were both shocked. Hyson let go of Lepore's hand. What are you doing? Mary shouted. Who are you? It's none of your business. Hyson looked at Mary, who was wearing a servant's clothes, with disdain. Now get out of the manor, or I'll throw you out. I was invited here by the owner. Who do you think you are? You won't leave. Don't regret it. Mary looked at Hyson angrily. How dare a servant be so presumptuous? Hyson did not take Mary seriously at all. Lepore, you'd better be sensible. Let's go. Mary pulled Lepore away. You'll regret it, Hyson shouted behind Lepore. Lepore followed Mary, but her heart was heavy. She knew that her career would be very difficult. Ms. Mary, where are we going? Find someone who can help you vent your anger, Mary said. Mary led Bob into the drawing room. Mr. Dell, come here. Dell's eyes lit up when he saw Raphael beside Mary. Mary, the girl beside you is so beautiful. Do you want to introduce her to me? Miss Lepore was brought here by Chun. She's his student. Are you sure you want to know her? Forget it. What's the matter? Miss Lepore was bullied just now. Who dares to mess around in my manor? Dell frowned. Mary was a little surprised. This young man was the owner of this manor? From their tone, it seemed that this man was very familiar with his teacher. It's my agent. He wants me to sell my body. What do you do? Model. Aren't you Chen's student? I'm studying at UCLA. Modeling is my part-time job. Del nodded. What's your agent's name? Hyson. Hyson? I don't know him. How did he get my party invitation? Just then Chen Zhao and Risvar walked in. Chen, you're here? Del glanced behind Lepore. Lepore turned around and saw Chen Zhao walking over. Lepore, how come you're here? Aren't you going to get to know the guests? Chun, you're such a terrible teacher, Mary said directly. Your student was bullied. Lepore, what happened? Lowering her head, Lepore told Chen Zhao the whole story. Chun, I had someone throw the 3 guys into the sea to feed the sharks, Risvar said. Lepore looked at Risvar. Who is this guy? Judging from his tone, he sounded like a mafia boss. There's no need. Chen Zhao waved his hand. Don't always think about using violence. The 3 of them were still in the garden. At this moment, a tall woman walked over. Hey, don't you have a girlfriend? The 3's eyes lit up when they saw the woman. Hi, how should I address you? Hyson asked. I'm Merlin. The beauty introduced herself. The 3 also introduced themselves, exaggerating their professions and identities as usual. How about we go somewhere else to drink? Merlin asked in a teasing tone. Hyson and the other 2 didn't suspect anything. They only felt that the woman was truly sexy. Where are we going? Somewhere where there's wine and no one will disturb us, Merlin said. The 3 of them impatiently followed behind Merlin. Merlin turned left and right. Hyson looked around hesitantly. Merlin, you've been here before? Yes. Smiling, Merlin said. Let's go to the wine cellar. No one will disturb us there. Hyson, White, and Wilson immediately felt their bodies heat up. The lock of the wine cellar seemed to be broken. The 3 followed Merlin into the wine cellar. The wine cellar was filled with the aroma of wine. The racks were filled with all kinds of famous wines. The 3 of them were attracted by the wine. They realized that many of the wines were expensive and famous. Hyson picked up a bottle of wine and sucked in a breath of cold air. This is St. Brandy. This bottle alone costs $200,000. Merlin looked at Hyson. Throw it over, and let me have a look. Hyson threw the bottle to Merlin. Merlin purposely missed it. The wine bottle fell to the ground and shattered with a clang. Oh no. Let's go. We can't stay here. What are you afraid of? There's so much wine here. Even the owner won't be able to find us. Don't you want to play a game here? The 3 of them felt a little horny. Merlin pointed at a bottle on a rack. Open that bottle. We have a lot of time to play. Open a few more bottles, Merlin said. Let's party to our heart's content. The 3 of them were a little slow in thinking. They enjoyed the wine to their heart's content. I'll go get some food. Wait for me here. I'll be back soon. Merlin licked his lips. Okay, come back quickly. After leaving the wine cellar, Merlin kept her head down and covered her face with her hair. She had to avoid the surveillance camera above her head in case the police found her. Merlin went to a living room on the 3rd floor. Chen Zhao and the others were inside. Mr. Risvar, it's done. Chapter 10-12. Lepore had seen everything happen the whole time. If it were her, she wouldn't spend $200,000, no matter how big of a grudge she had. But the others in the room seemed to take it for granted. Chen Zhao was the one who'd come up with the idea. When Lepore looked at Chen Zhao, she was a little afraid. The wine in the cellar was at least tens of thousands of dollars, and the most was at least hundreds of thousands. Lepore knew very well that the 3 of them were dead for sure. Merlin had left without hesitation. She couldn't afford to offend anyone in the room. Everyone in the room was a man-eating beast. Are you satisfied now that I helped you vent your anger? Chen Zhao asked. Lepore lowered her head. After a while she said, Hyson has my contract. Leave it to me, Del said. Mary, call the police. The 3 were still in a daze. Hyson asked, why isn't Merlin back yet? The door to the cellar opened, and a group of police officers walked in. They saw the broken pieces of wine bottles on the ground, and the strong smell of alcohol permeated the air. Mr. Policeman, it's them. They came in here to steal and deliberately destroy the wine storage here. Wait. What are you doing? What are you doing? What happened? The 3 immediately resisted, but the police didn't care. They handcuffed them right away. Just then Del led the way to the 3. Lepore followed behind him. Lepore, what's going on? Gentlemen, you barged into my party and broke the lock of my cellar. You stole from the cellar and caused me great losses. I need compensation, Del said indifferently. Del said calmly, of course you can refuse, but I can guarantee that you will return the money to me. The three immediately sobered up. Then they started sweating. They suddenly realized what they'd done. Wait, we didn't do it. A woman brought us here. We don't know. Woman? What woman? There's no woman here. It's true. There's really a woman. We were tricked. Hyson suddenly looked at Lepore. It's you. Lepore, is it you? Lepore only smiled and didn't speak. At this moment, Raphael felt very relieved. Who would have thought that Hyson, who used to strut around in front of her, would be in such a sorry state? This is a trap, a fraud. Hyson had already come to his senses. You deliberately lured us here. I'm going to sue you, all of you, and the police. I'm going to file a complaint against you too. Mr. Officer, please take them to the police station. I'll send my lawyer to negotiate with them later, Del said. They basically didn't need to worry about what would happen next. I'll send you back. After everything was over, Chen Zhao drove Raphael home. Raphael did not speak again along the way. Just because of a single conflict, Chen Zhao had caused Hyson and the other two to suffer heavy losses. By the time they left, things had already come to an end. Hyson, who had been unyielding before, returned Lepore's contract to Lapauer. At the same time, he also paid Del $1 million. This made Raphael see Chen Zhao, his teacher, in a new light. It also made her afraid of Chen Zhao. His teacher was far more dangerous than Hyson. When he had money, he would definitely return it as soon as possible. He definitely couldn't be offended. Raphael secretly made up her mind. We're here. Get out. Thank you, teacher. Exhausted, Raphael returned home. However, she was filled with confusion about her future. She was free now, but she didn't have any background. Without an agency or manager, she couldn't even get a job. Of course, she could find a job on her own. But as a model, not to mention whether she was qualified for the job, she couldn't allocate her time. The next day, Raphael seemed to be unaffected by anything. After dressing up carefully, she went out. Baroness Clubhouse was the most high-end clubhouse in Los Angeles. Just the area alone was comparable to a community park. The architectural style was similar to that of medieval Europe, but with a modern aesthetic. Even the celebrities in Hollywood flocked to it. However, Raphael was stopped at the door. Please take out your work pass. Sorry, I'm here for an interview. Oh, take this temporary pass and go in from there. The slogan in America was equality for all. But in this country, it was the most unequal society in the world. People were divided into the rich and the poor. The hidden class system was very obvious. The rich were the nobles here, and the poor were nothing here. For example, in Baroness Clubhouse, you couldn't even walk through the front door. Of course, Raphael wasn't the kind of person who wouldn't walk through the front door. Having been a model for so many years, she knew very well that the status of a model was not as glamorous as it seemed. When Raphael entered the clubhouse for the interview, there were already about 100 models there. A 1/10 acceptance rate was higher than expected. Raphael thought to herself, for some companies, the acceptance rate might be 1/20th, or even 1/30th. The interview was very fast. The average time for each model was about 3 minutes. And it wasn't just one interviewer. When Raphael entered the interview room, there was a man and a woman sitting inside. The two from Raphael were two of the three main designers of the Baroness, Triss and Cooper. Many stars flocked to their clothes, but they couldn't get them. Good figure, but it's a pity that the clothes don't match. This year's popular lipstick is dark pink. Your fashion sense is too low. 22 years old. The upper age limit is also 22 years old, Triss said. Also, are you in college? Yes. Will your studies be affected? Or will your runway show and rehearsals be affected? Cooper asked. I have my teacher's approval and got his signature. I will focus on modeling, Raphael said seriously. If a student wanted to do other part-time jobs, he or she needed the teacher's approval. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to work. Raphael took out her part-time application and placed it in front of Tris and Cooper. It was stamped by the school and signed by the teacher. Take a few steps. Average, Tris commented. And there's no agency. Sorry, Miss Raphael, you don't meet the requirements of our company. Please. Chapter 10:13. What a waste of time. Cooper pursed his lips. Is our Baroness brand really that cheap? Anyone dares to come here for an interview. Lepore had already turned to leave. Hearing Cooper's words, she hurried and left as if she was escaping. Just then, Cooper flipped to the application that Lepore had left on his desk and saw the signature. Cooper's expression froze. Qinzhao. Cooper was no stranger to this signature, nor was he unfamiliar with this name. Tris, look. This signature. This is Mr. Chen's signature? That girl is Mr. Chen's student. Cooper's face paled. Cooper and Tris rushed out of the house and looked for Raphael. That girl was Chen Zhao's student. She was probably here because Chen Zhao had asked her to come. It would be fine if Cooper had only brushed her off. But if Chen Zhao heard what he said at the end, he wouldn't be able to control himself. What would the consequences be? Cooper remembered clearly the missing Brighton. From that day onwards, Brighton had never appeared again. It was as if he had evaporated. Cooper, Tris, and Nat were all in awe of Chen Zhao. Now Cooper had made Chen Zhao's student leave in anger. The consequences would be severe. There. Ignoring how many pairs of eyes were watching, the two chased after Lepore. Miss Lepore, please wait. Lepore stopped and turned around confused. Is there anything else? I was just joking with you. You're hired. I don't like joking. Lepore felt that the two were teasing her. She was about to leave. Trish hurriedly pulled Lapal back. Miss Lapal, I'm serious. I'm serious. Please stay. Lepore frowned and looked at the two in confusion. What was wrong with them? Why did their attitudes change so much? Why? I don't have a management company or background. You said that my runway skills are mediocre. No, you are very good, very good. Our Baroness needs a model like you. As long as you are willing, you can become a regular model for our brand. Plus, you will definitely be included in our Baroness annual magazine. Lepore was even more confused. What was going on between the two of them? He definitely did not have that much influence. Moreover, he knew his own abilities. If there was something special about her, she wouldn't have been so unknown after being in the modeling industry for so many years. Are you serious? Yes, we are serious. I want to read the contract first. Of course, no problem. 20 minutes later, Raphael finished reading the contract. Shock was written all over her face. This contract was already considered the best treatment for a signed model. Her salary was 3 times higher than before, $3,000 a show. Moreover, there were all kinds of benefits in basic salary. Raphael didn't understand why he could get such a salary. Miss Laper, if there's no problem, we can sign the contract now. Raphael nodded and signed his name. Raphael, the offensive words we said just now. Can you not let Mr. Chen know? Raphael was stunned. You know my teacher? How funny. How could we not know each other? Mr. Chen is friends with our boss, Cooper said in a roundabout way. Raphael didn't expect Chen Zhao to have so many connections. Moreover, it seemed that these two top fashion designers were very afraid of being stale. The interview was very enjoyable. I don't know what Mr. Cooper is talking about. Cooper heaved a sigh of relief. Miss Raphael, our company will be shooting a promotional video tomorrow. Remember to come early. Of course, no problem. Helis was the third person to pass the first level of the Tower of Trials. Before her, only Gaia and Norma had passed the first level. Moreover, she had also passed the first level perfectly and obtained a SSS score. Payne and Eric looked at Helis enviously. Ever since she'd obtained the Death Mist in Sandro National Park, Helis' abilities had improved by leaps and bounds. Helis, from now on, you're an official member of the association, Chen Zhao said. You'll be treated like an official member. Chen Zhao looked at Payne and Eric. You two work hard too. Don't lose to the girls. The two wanted to cry. Was the first level so easy to pass? Most people in the association didn't pass. Then Chen Zhao turned to West and the others. You guys have to work hard too. Didn't you realize that apart from me, everyone who passed the first level is a girl? Gaia, Norma and Helis. Chen Zhao's words didn't just put pressure on Helis. The other girls were also under pressure. Patya, Alice, Jalanash, and Giselle were all very upset. Especially Jalanash. She used to be the strongest person in the association. But now, she wasn't even in the rankings. It was fine if she was weaker than Chen Zhao. But now, even newbies were stronger than her. She was very unhappy. If you're unhappy, then work harder. Patya was a support type. She definitely couldn't pass the first level alone. So Chen Zhao wouldn't force her. Alice was a magic library. Battle magic wasn't her strong suit either. All the pressure was on Jalanash and Giselle. Guild leader, I would like to ask you to take me to the 4th floor, Helis stated her request. 4th level? Why? You can't survive on the 4th level with your strength. Because there are skeleton mages on the 4th level. They also use black magic and necromancy. They're the abilities I need to learn the most. I hope to learn magic from them, Helis said. Sure. But I'm not sure if I can take you to the 4th level, Chen Zhao said. One person going in was a different level of difficulty. 2 people going in was another level of difficulty. Get ready. I'll take you there the next time you can go in. I can go in now, Helis said. I didn't go to the 2nd level just now. Instead, I saved the 1st level. Okay, then let's go in now and start from the 2nd level. As soon as Chen Zhao and Helis entered the 2nd level, monsters started appearing. Chapter 10:14. Earthshaker was much bigger than the twisted monster. But it wasn't just in size that it was stronger. When they ran on the ground, Chen Zhao and Helis felt the ground shake. They seemed to have their own magic that could directly affect the ground. Anyway, it kept shaking. Chen Zhao and Helis couldn't stand still. If he wanted to take Helis to the 4th floor, she couldn't die before that. Helis immediately released the death mist. However, when the death mist enveloped Earthshaker, it was dispersed with a punch. The death mist was too little of a threat to Earthshakers. Just then, the Earthshaker before Helis raised its arms and smashed down at her head. Because of the shaking, Helis couldn't stand still at all. Chen Zhao immediately covered Helis with the dark serum. Helis' face paled in fear. She knew she wouldn't die, but the thrilling feeling made her heart jump. The monsters on the 2nd floor were too strong. They couldn't be compared to the 1st floor at all. She didn't know how Chen Zhao had passed. Of course, she even doubted if Chen Zhao could take her through the 2nd floor. Chen Zhao also had a hard time. The shaking made it hard for him to stand still, which affected his fighting ability. Chen Zhao kicked off and flew into the air. He stepped on the shoulder of a Earthshaker and stomped hard. The Earthshaker was stomped to the ground. Chen Zhao used the momentum to jump and punch another Earthshaker. However, Chen Zhao couldn't land on the ground. He had to land on the Earthshaker every time. If he landed on the ground, he wouldn't be able to stand still. He had to regain his balance. Looking at Chen Zhao's figure, Helis was dazzled. She knew that Chen Zhao was very powerful and had many trump cards. However, it was different from the casual and cynical way he'd dealt with the mother last time. This time, Chen Zhao was very serious, even though he didn't use his trump cards. He displayed a completely different kind of combat ability from last time. She couldn't even deal with one Earthshaker, but Chen Zhao could do it easily. Of course, it was an exaggeration to say that he could do it easily, but Chen Zhao could really deal with it easily. Earthshakers weren't strong because of their size or strength. In these two aspects, Chen Zhao far surpassed them. It was the vibration of the ground when they approached. Moreover, Chen Zhao didn't just have to deal with Earthshaker. At the same time, he had to protect Helith. His ultimate goal wasn't to kill to his heart's content. Instead, it was to lead Helith to the 4th floor. Therefore, Chen Zhao's battle range had always been around Helith. Chen Zhao had been jumping around the whole time. The battle lasted for more than half an hour before it finally ended. Harold looked at him. President, do you want to rest? You can bring me to the 3rd floor next time. Chen Zhao shook his head. No need. Actually, it's quite interesting to pass the 2nd level as a duo. It's much more interesting than solo. From Helis' perspective, the entire process was extremely thrilling. But to Chen Zhao, it was only interesting. Helios shook his head with a bitter smile. The second floor was rated D+, not bad. Next time, I'll find someone else to play on the second floor. Let's go to the third floor. The two entered the third floor at the same time. The monster that appeared on the third floor was the winged demon. But now, it was a duo, so the monsters were different too. The monsters that appeared on the third floor were a group of armored wyverns. Chen Zhao wasn't unfamiliar with wyverns. After all, he'd eaten many of them. In hell, wyverns were also common magical beasts. Wyverns were used as mounts or meat sources by lords or great lords. But it didn't mean they were weak. If they got aggressive, they could still be very fatal. They were like war horses. They were mounts. But they could also bring danger to people who weren't familiar with them. Chen Zhao wasn't confident that he could protect Helith in such a situation. So he took out the 12 stone swords and the zither. Helith looked at him in surprise. She'd never seen this before. She didn't know why Chen Zhao took out the zither. But the next moment she knew. When the 12 stone swords danced in the air, everything in the surroundings vanished in an instant. Blood and flesh rained down from the sky. Everything around them was cut into pieces. She opened her mouth and stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief. So powerful. She couldn't even deal with a wyvern. But Chen Zhao was killing wyverns. The entire process took less than 60 seconds. The battle was over. 100 wyverns had been slaughtered by Chen Zhao. Pass 3S rating. Chen Zhao felt that he'd held back more than last time when he tried the zither. It seemed that his magic power had increased a bit in the past few days. Okay, you've passed the third floor. You don't need me to carry you anymore, right? Helith still hadn't recovered from the shock. Her gaze toward Chen Zhao was filled with admiration. That kind of indescribable power had deeply shocked her heart. President, don't you want to see what kind of monsters the duo on the fourth floor are? Chen Zhao thought about it. Then he'd go to the fourth floor. He wouldn't lose anything anyway. After entering the fourth floor, a black cloud appeared in the sky and shrouded the two of them. Then, a bolt of lightning fell from the sky. Before Chen Zhao and Helith could react, it struck Helith's head. Helith screamed and left the Tower of Trials. A huge charred bird was left on the ground. Just then, another bolt of lightning fell from the sky. Chen Zhao took a closer look and saw a bird in the lightning. A thunderbird. The bird was hidden in the lightning. It fell from the sky and landed on Chen Zhao's head. The ground around Chen Zhao was charred. Electricity flowed through Chen Zhao's body, making him feel very comfortable. In Western mythology, the thunderbird was a kind of mythical beast that was born and died in lightning. Their lifespans were extremely short. They only existed for an instant. Another thunderbird landed on Chen Zhao's head. Chen Zhao lifted his arm. Seeing the chance, he opened the mouth of gluttony. The lightning was swallowed by the mouth of gluttony. Just then, Chen Zhao felt his entire arm tremble. The mouth of gluttony was swallowing and obtaining the thunderbird's characteristics. Perhaps because of the lightning, the fourth eye on his arm opened. The fourth eye kept emitting electric sparks and pouring them into the mouth of gluttony. The mouth of gluttony was like a flamethrower, constantly brewing electricity. Boom! Chapter 10:15. However, after the lightning exploded in the sky, it was only a small circle for the entire cloud. A thunderbird landed on Chen Zhao's head. Chen Zhao felt great again. The thunderbird didn't do much damage to Chen Zhao. It could even be said to be non-existent. The thunderbird wasn't real natural lightning. It was much weaker than the 2 times Chen Zhao had been struck by lightning. Now, even if Chen Zhao faced real natural lightning again, he was confident that he could survive it. Compared to that, the thunderbird's lightning was only 1/10 as powerful. Chen Zhao had already been struck 20 to 30 times. Not only did he not feel any pain, but he even got used to it. It wasn't that he didn't feel anything, but the damage was much lower. There seemed to be only thunderbirds on the 4th level. There weren't any other monsters. 98 times, 99 times, 100 times, as expected, there was a notification that he had passed. Chen Zhao felt like he was full of energy. The mana he'd used on the 3rd level had completely recovered. The 4th eye on his right arm also closed. Chen Zhao didn't know what the 4th eye was like. However, he suspected that it had something to do with lightning. Because he was a human again, A large number of three-headed dragons appeared on the 5th level again. Chen Zhao did the same thing again. He cut through the Gordian knot and passed the 5th level. Then he recorded it and left the Tower of Trials. President, you're out. How did you pass the 4th level? Helis had been waiting for Chen Zhao outside. I passed. The 4th level is a 2-person mode. I just have to be struck by lightning 100 times. Helis' face darkened. She'd been struck in the head by the first lightning and died. Chen Zhao had been struck by lightning 100 times inside. It seemed that the difference between her and Chen Zhao wasn't just in power. Even his ability to resist attacks was worlds apart. Jalik, Padalu, and Giselle are at the headquarters, right? Yes. Help me find them. I need their help with something. Soon, the 3 of them were called to Chen Zhao. Helis also joined in the fun. President, why are you looking for us? I want to touch high-voltage electricity, but I'm not sure if it will affect the headquarters' electricity. Everyone exchanged glances, not knowing what Chen Zhao was trying to do. President, if you want to feel an electric shock, the socket in the room can satisfy your needs. Jalik wondered if Chen Zhao was a masochist. What I need is a higher current, at least 1,000,000 volts. Guild leader, what are you planning to do? I have a spell that requires a strong electric current to verify. Understood. Shall we build a power room for you? Sure. Chen Zhao nodded. How long? It will take some time. Okay, let me know when it's done, Chen Zhao said. But first, make me an accessible interface. Then let's go to our studio. The 3 brought Chen Zhao to the studio. It was a bit messy. Many parts were scattered all over the place. Guild leader, hold on to these 2 electric pliers. However, these electric pliers are connected to batteries, so they can only provide a limited amount of power and voltage. At most, they can provide up to 300,000 volts for 10 minutes. Sure, turn on the switch. Chen Zhao grabbed the electric pliers. Jalik knew that Chen Zhao was strong. The electricity shouldn't be able to hurt him. The moment Jalik turned on the switch, electricity surged into Chen Zhao's body. Chen Zhao realized that the 4th eye had opened. The mana he'd used in the Tower of Trials was also recovering. However, the recovery was very weak. It wasn't as fast as his automatic recovery. It seemed that his guess was right. The 4th eye had opened because of the Thunderbird. It could absorb electricity and recover mana. Earlier, in the Tower of Trials, the Thunderbird had kept attacking Chen Zhao. The 4th eye had absorbed it and converted it into mana for Chen Zhao. However, the amount of electricity that could be converted into mana was too low. Everyone in the studio saw that the electric pliers in Chen Zhao's hands had turned red. But Chen Zhao seemed like nothing had happened. Chen Zhao tossed the pliers down and clapped his hands. Too low. I can't feel anything. Everyone was speechless. Chen Zhao couldn't feel anything from the voltage that could electrocute someone. Since the 4th eye was related to lightning, he'd call it the Eye of the Thunder. However, the Eye of the Thunder was a bit useless. Unless Chen Zhao encountered an enemy with the lightning element, or he was fighting in a thunderstorm. Otherwise, it wouldn't be very useful. Or he could carry a generator with him. But Chen Zhao couldn't really carry a super generator with him. When he was tired and used up all his mana, he could turn on the generator to charge himself. So the Eye of the Thunder was indeed invincible under certain circumstances. However, it could not generate electricity on its own, nor could it provide magic power. Chen Zhao's power hadn't increased. What had increased was Chen Zhao's diversity. Hurry up and finish the power room. Just then Gaia entered the room. Chen, I heard that you just brought Helis to the 4th floor? You don't want to go too, do you? It's meaningless to you. No, I'm not interested in the 4th floor. If I want to go, I'll rely on my own abilities, Gaia said. I'm more interested in the monster Earthshaker that appeared in the duo on the 2nd floor. Really? Me too. Compared to the monsters before and after, Earthshaker is more interesting. It's more useful for actual combat training. You think so too? Gaia said. I think so too. Earthshaker can be understood as a more complicated terrain. Chen Zhao had to admit that Gaia and Gaia had the same thoughts. Then when can we go play on the 2nd floor together? No problem. I'm also interested in Earthshaker. Gaia and Chen Zhao were 2 completely different people. Gaia had the heart of a strong person. Chen Zhao, on the other hand, was interested. "Oh, I heard that you left those 2 rookies in the crypt demon ruins. They asked for it. They're just kids. Don't be too harsh on them." Gaia also roughly knew about the grudge between Lit Grove and Bona Twain and Chen Zhao. However, in her eyes, both of them were just children. They're older than a quarter of the people in the society. They're not kids anymore. You've punished them enough. I'll bring them back tonight. Chapter 10:16. This was Gaia's first time in the crypt demon ruins. When the supernatural organization first fought against the family, she hadn't joined the supernatural organization yet. Last time when Lit Grove and Bona Twain came to the rescue, she was busy and didn't come. Gaia had been looking for a chance to come and see this place. She had always heard about how fierce and cruel the crypt demons here were. Unfortunately, she wouldn't have the chance to see it. At the very least, there was no chance under normal circumstances. Because when she entered the crypt demon ruins, she took out the association's badge. The crypt demon was leading the way. He had no intention of attacking her. Gaia was not the type to act indiscriminately. Therefore, he could only regretfully give up on the idea of making a move. When they entered the depths and saw the pyramid in the ruins, Gaia was also shocked by this great and ancient building. At this moment, Ritter Grove and Bona Twain were like 2 refugees. In less than 2 days, the 2 of them had completely abandoned the so-called fear and disgust. Right now they were sitting in front of the fire, roasting the earth locusts provided by the crypt demons. In the face of hunger, any bottom line would become non-existent. Just a day ago, they were still filled with disgust towards the earth locust. But now the earth locust was their food, even though they could not eat the earth locust raw. "You 2 are better than I thought." At this moment Gaia's voice sounded. Both of them jumped in fright. When they looked carefully, they realized that it was Gaia. Although the 2 of them were in a sorry state, they did not collapse. Gaia was quite pleased with this. "Miss Gaia, why are you here? If you come to pick me up, then leave." "Ah, really?" "But the president said, we haven't reached the 3rd day yet. It hasn't even been 2 days, right?" The 2 of them became hesitant again. After all, if they disobeyed Chen Zhao's orders again, now, they would have to face Chen Zhao's thunderous fury. After overcoming their initial fear, they discovered that this place was not as scary as they had imagined. Thus, they'd rather obediently complete Chen Zhao's punishment, instead of running away on his own. "I'm friends with Chen. I've already told him," Gaia said. "So you can leave now." "Really? That's wonderful. I can finally leave this place." "Don't celebrate too early, Lit. You need to continue your work. Chen isn't going to let you off so easily." Lit Grove wanted to cry but had no tears. If only he had known Chen Zhao was so terrifying. From the first day they met, he would obediently pretend to be a grandson. It was just that he was used to being domineering in the past. He thought that all teachers in the world were the same. He could bully her as he pleased. Who would have thought that Chen Zhao was a terrifying demon king? However, Ritter Grove was no longer as afraid as before. Although the job wasn't that glamorous. But now, he had experienced such a terrifying thing. There didn't seem to be anything to be afraid of when he went to guard the morgue. "Pack up. Let's go." Gaia realized that the 2 of them seemed to have grown a lot. Although it was only 2 days. But they seemed to have become completely different people. "Flint rags and 2 earth locust. Why are you carrying these things?" "A memorial," Ritter Grove said. Breathing in the fresh air outside again, both of them felt their eyes moisten. It was such a touching feeling. "Don't make Chen angry anymore. He's been lenient enough to the 2 of you. Do you know how he dealt with the last person who tried to harm him?" "I know. He stuffed that person into a meat grinder." "Good." The next day, Lit Grove had a good night's sleep and went straight to the headquarters of the association. Unfortunately, Chen Zhao wasn't there today. After asking, he found out that Chen Zhao didn't come every day. Just then Gaia walked in and saw Ritter Grove. "Why are you here?" "Ms. Gaia, I'm here to see if there's anything I can help with. If there's an operation, you participate. If not, you're busy with your own things or training." "How do I train?" Ritter Grove asked. "West has a public trial ring. Go get it from him. and then go to the Tower of Trials. And then, you'll know after you go in. Just then Helly's walked in. She'd heard that Ritter Grove had offended Chen Zhao, so she was very unhappy with him. If he wasn't Chen Zhao's student, he would have been torn into pieces. Even if Chen Zhao didn't do anything, she wouldn't let him go. Helly's, you're here. How about we go to the second level together? Sorry, Gaia. I have to keep the 4th level file. Also, I just came out, so I can't go in for a while. Okay, I'll go find Norma. Ever since Norma passed the 1st level, she had no progress on the 2nd. She was already very lucky on the 1st level. Her Eye of Nightmare was useless on the 2nd. Ritter Grove got a ring and went to the Tower of Trials. He'd heard the other members mention the Tower of Trials a few times before. However, he didn't know what exactly it was. Every time, they talked about it vaguely. He didn't know what was inside either. Just then Gaia and Norma walked over. Ms. Gaia, Ms. Norma, why are you standing here? Since you got the ring, put it on and press it against the stone door. Ritter Grove pressed his palm against the door according to Gaia's instructions. Instantly, Ritter Grove whispered in front of the two of them. How about we bet how long he stays in there? Norma said. 30 seconds, $100. I bet 15 seconds. Gaia looked at the time. Very quickly, 30 seconds passed. Ritter Grove still hadn't come out. 45 seconds later, Lit Grove came out. However, from the looks of it, he was quite frightened. Not bad, kid. You can actually stay in there for 45 seconds. How did you do it? I'm not dead. I'm not dead. What happened just now? Was it an illusion? It's real, but the Tower of Trials doesn't kill people. At least, you won't be killed as long as you have the ring, Gaia said. Gaia said, you still haven't answered my question. How did you last 45 seconds? I dodged the first wave of attacks, Ritter Grove said. Oh, how did you do that? Chapter 10:17. In fact, after this period of experimentation, everyone realized that the combination of 2 or more people would produce different effects. For example, when Patya teamed up with someone else, her war dance spell would bring more benefits than the 2-person team on the 1st level. For example, when Patya teamed up with someone else, her war dance spell would bring more benefits than the 2-person team on the 1st level. So, they were all trying to cooperate with each other to clear the trial tower. Of course, the benefits of such a combination were also limited. For example, when Harris and Chen Zhao worked together, it was all Chen Zhao's effort. In reality, it was all Chen Zhao's effort. Helly's had been killed instantly on the 4th floor. She had not shown her value at all. This was because the difference in power was too great. It was like a dungeon in a game. Chen Zhao was a high-level player. When he entered a high-level dungeon, the effect of a support player was minimal. Lit Grove started familiarizing himself with the headquarters and the members. In the afternoon, Lit Grove went to the hospital. Hey Lit, you're here? Maggie was surprised to see Lit Grove. She didn't think that Lit Grove would come again. After all, Lit Grove had been assigned to be a security guard in the morgue. No matter what, Lit Grove was the young master of a rich family. He wouldn't do this kind of work. What she didn't expect was that Lit Grove would actually appear in the hospital again. He's not here to resign, is he? This is my internship place. What's so strange about me coming here? Maggie was very surprised by Lit Grove's answer. She was really curious as to how Chen Zhao had convinced Lit Grove. He actually came here to work obediently. To be honest, if it were her, she definitely wouldn't be able to endure this kind of work. Of course, she was also glad that she didn't offend Chen Zhao. She was very satisfied with her internship. Lepore went to Baroness Hall again. Many signed models had already gathered there. Many of them were famous models. There were even 2 A-list models. They were the kind that had acted in Hollywood movies and acted as vases. This was basically the highest level that a model could reach. There were millions of models in the world, but no more than 20 could reach their level. Everyone wanted to achieve their dream of becoming a star, but the path was too difficult. Just then a few people came in. James was in the lead, and his team followed behind him. All the models' eyes lit up when they saw James. James was now hailed as Steven's successor. The box office of his first movie had already exceeded everyone's expectations. If it weren't for Steven, his movie would have become a new box office record holder. However, even if he was shrouded in Steven's halo, James's achievements still made him an A-list director overnight. So to be chosen by him was every model's dream. James came to the flowers. In the past, he would sleep with some actresses and arrange 1 or 2 small roles. But now that his status was high, his horizons were also higher. When he looked back at his past, he felt that he was very tasteless. This was the difference in height, and the way of looking at things was also different. Now he didn't need to go to the unspoken rules. If he really needed a woman, he had too many ways to get her. Of course, this method was also more convenient, easier, and safer than the past. James clapped his hands. Ladies, I believe you all know about today's mission. Next, we're going to the filming location. Hello, Mr. James. I'm Tigars. Hello, Tigars, please go to the bus. We don't have much time. The model called Tigars returned to the line awkwardly. Among the group of models, she was considered a slightly famous supermodel. She had wanted to get to know James. It would be best if they could get to know each other. Unfortunately, James didn't fall for it at all. He had been in Hollywood for decades, so of course he knew Tigars' intentions. Everyone got on the bus, and James chose a seat at random. Behind the bus were 2 cars with props. Ladies, the location we're shooting this time is a rich man's territory. I hope you can behave yourself, and don't offend the rich man. The models thought that they had nothing better to do than to offend a rich man. Don't break into his home. He and his family don't like people coming in casually, James said. Of course we understand. You're all good girls. There will be plenty of opportunities waiting for you in the future. So don't do anything embarrassing. James was warning the coquettish bitches. He knew too well the desire these women had for quality men. If you were targeted by them, they would use all sorts of methods to kill you. Steven had warned him before. He told him to keep an eye on the models. When the motorcade entered Mirror Lake, the girls started chattering. So beautiful. It's so beautiful. I really want to live here. Mirror Lake was like a piece of emerald blue gemstone. The surface of the lake was calm and tranquil. In the distance they could see a huge yacht. It was surrounded by emerald green vegetation. The air was fresh too. When they saw the faintly discernible villa in the distance, the girls became lively again. The motorcade stopped, and James got off first. Behind him was a large group of long-legged beauties. Just then, a huge bear appeared on the side of the road. Before the girls could scream, they saw a baby sitting on the back of the bear. Stop, yeah. The baby had 2 tender front teeth in his mouth. He pointed at James and the others, and made incomprehensible sounds. The models all looked at James. James scratched his head. He had seen Jerlin before, but she definitely didn't remember him. Jerlin, is your dad home? Princess, I'm home. Jerlin patted Princess's back. The others didn't understand Jerlin's words, but Princess did. Princess turned around and returned to the house. Everyone's eyes were filled with surprise. The princess and little Jerlin looked like 2 extremes. But now they looked so compatible that no one found it strange at all. Just then the door opened. Phalai carried Jerlin out of the villa. Hi, Miss Phalai. Mr. James, hello. I brought people here to shoot a promotional video. Did Mr. Chen tell you about it? I know. Steven told me last time. Phalai nodded. Where's Mr. Chen? Chapter 10:18. Everyone saw a person swimming on the lake. However, Mirror Lake was too big, and they couldn't see clearly. Miss Phalai, I'll start filming with the models now. Please forgive us if we've disturbed you. Of course. Phalai smiled, but she wouldn't be careless. These flirtatious bitches were her main targets. Of course, she still had to be tolerant and generous on the surface. Phalai clapped her hands, and all the pets in the house ran out. James was already used to it. After all, he'd been here once or twice. However, the models behind him paled in fear. Girls, you'll be filming a promotional video with them later. Familiarize yourself with them first, James said. Also, who's good at swimming? Me. I'm good too. I used to be on the school swimming team. The group of girls all fought to raise their hands. There's a killer whale in Mirror Lake. Later, you'll choose a girl to dive into the water and face it. James was no stranger to Amon. He'd been an assistant director when they'd filmed Sea Patrol. He had a deep impression of Amon. Amon worked well with the crew too. That was why he wasn't afraid of Amon at all. Instead, he looked forward to reuniting with his old friend. Many people in the crew were also the staff of Sea Police, and they were also looking forward to it. However, when the girls heard that they'd have to go into the water and face a killer whale, they all backed off. Just then Lepore raised her hand. "Mr. James, I can do it. Anyone else?" The girls all fell silent. No one spoke again. No one wanted to face a monster in the water, even though killer whales were the safest animals in the world. At least for humans, killer whales had almost no record of killing people. Killer whales were also called killer whales in China. In fact, this was a translation error at the beginning, and it wasn't corrected later. "Okay, you go then. What's your name?" "Lepore." The group of girls looked at Raphael coldly. Every group had their infighting, let alone a group of women. There was no peace. They all thought that they were the chosen ones. Of course, they didn't want other women to surpass them. Lepore was an experienced model. Of course, she knew about the infighting in the industry. The girls began to interact with these wild beasts. James gave them 10 minutes to familiarize themselves with each other, to avoid any problems during filming. Just then, Chen Zhao swam back to the shore. When Raphael saw Chen Zhao, he was stunned. Lepore didn't expect to see Chen Zhao here. This is Chen Zhao's home? Since this was Chen Zhao's home, he should be very rich, right? Why did he still want to be a university professor? The other models all looked at Chen Zhao, instantly attracted by his figure. Chen Zhao's body emitted a wave of masculine hormones. The women couldn't help but lust for him. All the models secretly swallowed their saliva. Just then Fei Lai walked over with a towel. "Chun," she whispered into his ear. "Did you come here to show off your body because you saw so many girls coming to our house?" Chen Zhao rolled his eyes and kissed Fei Lai's forehead. "Are you jealous?" "I'm not. I'm pregnant anyway. If you can't hold it in, you can find a few women." If Chen Zhao really believed this, he might as well lose his head. "Of course not. Who do you think I am?" Chen Zhao touched Fei Lai's hair. Just then Lepore walked up. "Teacher." James and the other models all stared at Lepore in shock. "Teacher?" Lepore was Chen Zhao's student. Chen Zhao turned his head to look at Lepore. "Why are you here?" "Mr. Chen, is she your student?" James asked. "Yes, I'm her intern teacher," Chen Zhao said. "James, do you want to come in for a drink?" "No, I need to hurry up and get things done," James said, chuckling. He glanced at Lepore from the corner of his eye. It seemed that he had to give her more shots and close-ups. After returning to the house, Chen Zhao took out a bottle of wine. "Don't rush. Come and have a few sips. I believe you'll like it." Before Christmas, Chen Zhao had given him a bottle of wine. He knew how good Chen Zhao's wine was. Seeing Chen Zhao come out with the nameless wine, he was instantly addicted. Fei Lai also came out with 2 bottles of wine. "Chun, you're only giving it to James. What about the other girls? Sisters, come over. Please treat this as your home for now." Many of the models were experienced drinkers. After all, they attended parties almost every other day. Their alcohol tolerance might even be higher than Chen Zhao's. It's the nameless wine." "What nameless wine?" "You just need to know that one bottle is $300,000. Many of the models gasped in shock. This couple was too rich and extravagant. Treating guests with such wine? And 3 bottles at once? In other words, they'd treated them with $900,000 worth of wine. Similarly, Raphael did not expect his teacher to be so rich. Perhaps being a university teacher was just his hobby. No wonder he was so familiar with Dell. Before, he'd thought that Chen Zhao had an ordinary background and was just a university professor. Now, it seemed that he'd underestimated him. "Okay, girls, put down your glasses. We're going to start filming. First shot. Lepore, you go first. Change into your bikini." Lepore took off her jacket. She was wearing a bikini underneath. "Mr. Chen, let me borrow your boat. We need to go to the middle of Mirror Lake and shoot close-up scenes with Amon." "No problem. You can use whatever you need." "Can I borrow the yacht?" "Yes." James and the crew boarded Feilai on the small boat. Lepore looked at the facilities on Feilai and clicked her tongue. This super luxurious yacht probably cost tens of millions of dollars. From afar, she only felt that it was pretty, but only when she actually boarded Feilai could she feel how luxurious it was. Prepare the lights. First shot. Walk out of the cabin. Give me some wind. It was the end of January. The cold wind wasn't good at this time, but Lepore was experienced. She wouldn't complain or avoid it. Good, very good. Beautiful. Since it was a promotional video, it had to be as beautiful as possible. Go, go, go. Go to the deck. Jump into the water. Dive, cameraman, get ready. Dive in together. Chapter 10:19. It wasn't like the models had never seen anything more luxurious than Chen Zhao's house. However, Chen Zhao's house wasn't just luxurious. It was surrounded by mountains and rivers. The scenery was pleasant. The entire environment was setting off the house's comfort. All the models looked at Feilai enviously. Everything about Chen Zhao was attracting them. Young, rich, strong, and mysterious at the same time. The models couldn't help but want to get close to Chen Zhao. After entering the water, Lepore quickly recovered. She listened to James's order and dove down. Like a mermaid, she swayed her body and her beautiful hair fluttered in the water. She didn't look messy at all. Just then, a huge black shadow appeared in the water. Raphael was startled. The shadow had a terrifying sense of oppression. Lepore was about to escape when James's voice sounded in her earpiece. Don't panic. It's Amon. He's very friendly. Give me your hand. It was a dreamy shot. Lepore had never had such magical contact before. Because of the light underwater, she couldn't see Amon's full face. But even so, she could still feel Amon's huge body. When her palm came into contact with Amon's head, the smooth touch made her forget her fear. Just then, Amon swung his head and tail. A huge current rushed over and pushed Lepore to the surface. Lepore floated up and the cameraman followed. He gestured at James on the deck. Okay, you can come up now, James said. Change your clothes and do the next shot. Mr. James, do I still have more shots? Don't you need them? No, I'll be happy if you have more. The second shot was next to the house. The other models were all jealous when they saw that Lepore had so many shots. A promo was about 5 minutes long, but there were more than 10 models here. Each model was given less than 30 seconds. Lepore, on the other hand, had almost a minute. It was just to make her look better. The other models seemed to have become supporting characters. But she couldn't help it. She had someone to rely on. Of course, for the promotional video, every model would be assigned a different time according to their ability and fame. They couldn't really split the time equally. It was impossible for Raphael to have a minute to himself. He would definitely shorten the time in the later stages. However, even if it was shortened, Raphael had shot so many scenes that it would definitely take up a lot of time. After the shooting of Lapar, it was time for the other models to shoot. There was also the group shot of the models. In front of the camera, the models were as radiant as spring sunshine. Show the best side of yourself. They knew how to present the most beautiful scene in front of the camera. All their gestures were so pleasing to the eye. Darling, do you see that? They're making eyes at you. Those bitches. Feilai nestled in Chen Zhao's arms. Chen Zhao shrugged nonchalantly. Why would I like those mediocre girls? You men just like to say one thing and mean another. The shooting of James and the model took the whole afternoon. As the hosts, Chen Zhao and Feilai also prepared some food for them. Even under the setting sun, James did not forget to seize the opportunity to shoot a few sets of shots. James, won't you stay for dinner? No, I still have something to do. Smiling, James shook his head. I've taken up the whole afternoon. I should go too. Okay. Be careful on the way. Chen, do you want to make a guest appearance in my new movie? I'll go if I have time. Chen Zhao hugged James. Goodbye. The models gathered behind James, their eyes filled with envy. It was impossible for them to even appear in a scene in James' movie. However, Chen Zhao could receive James' invitation. That was the difference between people. The bus slowly drove away from the mansion. A model asked boldly, Mr. James, do you have a new movie to shoot? Yes, James answered indifferently. I'm still casting. The model's eyes lit up. Mr. James, do you need us for anything? I'm not sure yet. The script isn't out yet. James would not agree easily. James glanced at Raphael again. Raphael, on the other hand, was a little distracted and didn't notice James' eyes. Mr. James, what does that Mr. Chen do? Is he also in Hollywood? No, he's a university professor, James said. Did you forget? He's Lepore's teacher. But he seems to be very rich. What's wrong with a capable person having money? James said matter-of-factly. A capable person having money. This was the logic of society. Lapar, are you interested in acting in my movie? Raphael was stunned for a moment, and all the models in the bus gasped. The atmosphere became quiet in an instant. Everyone's mouths were agape as they looked at James in disbelief. They did not expect James to invite Lapar so actively. Even Lapar did not expect it herself. But why? I'm not famous at all. And I've never filmed any roles before. I'm afraid. I can't do it. Then you better find an actor training class, James said. James said, my movie will start shooting in 3 months. I will reserve a main role for you. Because of my teacher? Lapar asked hesitantly. Of course. I owe your teacher a huge favor, James said seriously. But will the investor allow it? It was not that Lapar doubted James' ability. But in Hollywood, not everyone had the right to decide on a role. Even the director had no right to decide on a main role alone. Unless it was someone as famous as Steven. No matter how successful James was, he was only a new director, or even a young one. The investor is PLM, and the CEO of PLM is a good friend of your teacher. If your teacher asks for it, he can even get the female lead, let alone the main role. The other models gasped once again, as they looked at Raphael with hatred in their eyes. It would be great if they could have this opportunity. Even if they knew that even without Lapar, this opportunity would not fall on their heads. But they still could not help but envy and hate Lapar. Chapter 10:20. Hello. Ever since Fei Lai got pregnant, her Chinese had improved by leaps and bounds. After all, she had a lot of time to learn Chinese. She also requested Chen Zhao to communicate with her in Chinese every day. Fei Lai, your Chinese has improved a lot. Darling, you should talk to me in Chinese, Fei Lai said angrily. Fei Lai had only mastered the basic Mandarin for daily communication. She was still far from being good at it. Fei Lai, I'll give you a Chinese question. Let's see if you can understand it. Okay, go ahead. Wear as much as you can in the winter, and as much as you can in the summer, Chen Zhao said. Do you understand these 2 sentences? Fei Lai scratched her head. She couldn't even speak the sentence smoothly, let alone understand it. Then the question is, what's the difference between these 2 sentences? I don't know. Let's change to something simpler. Okay, let's change to something simpler. What's the difference between someone who used to like someone, and then likes someone else? So complicated. Then I'll change to something else. Chen Zhao had been playing for the whole morning. Fei Lai started doubting her own Chinese. He could understand Mandarin when it was separated. But why couldn't he understand what it meant when it was put together? Chen, it's almost Chinese New Year, right? Fei Lai asked. It was already the end of January. In a few days, it would be New Year's Eve. Yes. You want a family reunion during New Year? Yes. Do you want me, your mother, and your sister to celebrate the holiday together? Forget it. Chen Zhao touched Fei Lai's hair. They were related by blood, but their relationship was too weak. Okay. Fei Lai had her own thoughts. I'll go out in the afternoon, Chen Zhao said. He didn't want to continue talking about this. He planned to hide outside for a while. In the afternoon, Chen Zhao received Karim's call before he left. Chen, Mr. Laurent and the boss are going to LA in a few days. I think they're going to your place to celebrate with you. Chen Zhao was dumbfounded. That old bastard was coming again. It was definitely Fei Lai who called him. She probably thought that she was in a foreign country, and it was a holiday. If she didn't have anyone to celebrate with, she might feel lonely. That was why she'd called her family over to celebrate with him. But Chen Zhao really didn't need it. He wasn't that pretentious. If only Winnip came, he'd welcome her warmly. But Laurent was coming too. So he couldn't even have a happy spring festival. No, definitely not. It would be a disaster if she and Chen Zhao came. I need to think of a way to deal with this old bastard. Chen had to think about dealing with him. Chen Wang of Chen. In that case, he must be thinking of how to deal with him now. Kareem, has that old bastard Laurent already started his plan? Okay. And Lao. And Chen. And God. And then Kareem broke out in a cold sweat. Every time Chen Zhao and Laurent schemed against each other, they crossed the line. They didn't want to get involved. They didn't do anything, but they got involved every time. Kareem finally told Chen Zhao everything about Laurent's plan. That old asterisk shoal is so troublesome. But since Laurent had made his move, Kareem couldn't fall behind. While driving, Chen Zhao called West. West, I need you to arrange something for me. Suddenly, a police car approached Chen Zhao's car. Sharon was in the car, gesturing at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao could only pull over. Darling, what did I do? Chen Zhao looked at Sharon helplessly. Talking on the phone while driving is against the traffic rules. Chen Zhao was speechless. Have you been following me since I left the house? I saw your car just now, so I thought I would get something. As I expected, this is your ticket. How about we go for a drink? Chen Zhao invited. Sure. There's a cafe up ahead. The two went to the cafe and drank coffee by the roadside. There weren't many people in the afternoon. Chen Zhao and Sharon were the only ones in the outdoor seats. Are you very free? Chen Zhao asked. How much work do you think the traffic police have? Sharon sipped her coffee, depressed. Aren't you rich? Why do you need to be a police officer? Chen Zhao remembered that Sharon's private car was a sports car. Coincidentally, Chen Zhao recognized the brand. It was a famous sports car manufacturer. Sharon's sports car was 20 times more expensive than the Aston Martin he'd bought for Feilai. Aren't you rich too? But you're not a professor at UCLA. Sharon rolled her eyes. Since you want to be a police officer so much, why don't you spend some money and transfer yourself to another force? It shouldn't be hard for you, right? I'm not as rich as my father. He bribed the police chief long ago. Every time David wants to transfer me to his major crimes division, the chief will transfer me back to the traffic team. I've been working part-time as an assassin recently. Hire me. I'll kill your father, and you'll get what you want. You'll also get a huge inheritance. Just because of what you said, I can arrest you. Just then, Chen Zhao saw a sexy beauty lying on the ground nearby. She seemed to be looking for something. The woman was wearing a dress, so when she knelt on the ground, her thighs were faintly discernible. Chen Zhao couldn't even move his eyes away. He stood up and walked over. Hi, miss, what are you doing? The woman lifted her head. It was a face that could charm all living things. Hi, sir. I'm looking for my diamond ring. My fiancé gave it to me. The woman's face was filled with anxiety. Sir, if you can help me find the diamond ring, I'm willing to pay you $20,000. This is my phone number and my address. After you find it, can you mail the diamond ring to this address for me? The woman looked at her watch again and said, My flight is at 3 o'clock. I'm going to the airport now. Sir, if you can help me find the diamond ring, I'm willing to pay you $20,000. The woman's face was filled with pleading. Smiling, Chen Zhao said, Of course. I'd be happy to work for a beauty like you. With that, the woman hurriedly boarded a sports car on the side of the road and drove away. Chen Zhao looked at the high-end business card in his hand. It was really high-end. At this moment, a girl walked over and bent down to pick something up. Chen Zhao saw the girl pick up a diamond ring. Chapter 10:21. You said it's yours? How can you say it's yours? The girl immediately hid the diamond ring in her pocket and stared at Chen Zhao with a cautious expression. It's really mine. I don't care if it's yours or not. I picked it up, so it's mine. Tell me, what do I have to do for you to give it back to me? $3,000, the girl said solemnly. If you're willing to pay $3,000, I'll give it back to you. Chen Zhao took out his wallet and handed $3,000 to the girl. The girl was about to take the money, but she didn't. You're going back on your word? Diamond ring. The girl stuffed the ring into Chen Zhao's hand. Only then did Chen Zhao let go of the money. The girl skipped away. Sharon had seen everything from start to finish. Smiling, Chen Zhao returned to his seat. It's for you. Furrowing her brows, Sharon asked curiously. You knew you were tricked? Then why did you give them the money? It's just in the movies, Chen Zhao said unconcerned. What are you planning? Sharon looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. She didn't understand. Since Chen Zhao could tell it was a scam, why did he still jump in? The girl turned 2 corners and found her partner's car. She got into her partner's car and the beauty asked, Risa, did you get it? Risa waved the cash in her hand. Yes, it was too easy. 2,000 for me and 1,000 for you. Jessie, why do you have 2,000 and I only have 1,000? Why don't we split it? That's not fair, Risa said unhappily. Because I'm irreplaceable, but anyone can play your role. Jessie smoothed his hair and held his chest at the same time. This determines our distribution ratio. Fine. Risa looked at Jessie's impressive chest size enviously. Just then, a business car stopped beside them, and a few men in black alighted. The men in black took the 2 of them out of the sports car without saying a word. Then they dragged them into the business car. The 2 girls screamed, but it was useless. If you can't keep quiet, you'll be quiet forever. The 2 of them saw a tall woman playing with a pistol in front of them. The 2 women immediately quieted down. Who are you people? What do you want? You've provoked someone you shouldn't have, the tall woman said coldly. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Both Jessie and Risa were going to play dumb. You don't need to understand. Along the way, the 2 of them racked their brains to think of a way to escape. But these people all had guns, and they were outnumbered. They were only 2 women, and Risa was only 14 years old. In this situation where they were surrounded by a pack of wolves, it was impossible for them to escape even if they had heaven-defying means. After driving for half an hour, the car finally stopped. The 2 of them got out of the car with trepidation. Just at this moment, a terrified cry came from afar. The 2 of them looked over and saw a man locked in a cage. There was also a huge bear in the cage. There was another person standing outside the cage. Both of them recognized that it was the Asian that they had deceived earlier. Let me out, let me out! The man in the cage screamed in pain. But it was accompanied by a bear's roar. The bear pounced on the man. The 2 women saw blood and flesh splatter everywhere. The bear was eating the man in the cage. The 2 women's faces paled in fear. Gaia pushed Jessie from behind. Don't stop. Go. Just then, Chen Zhao turned around and walked toward the 2 women. When he saw Lisa and Jessie, he even waved at them warmly. Hi, honey, we meet again. The 2 women's faces paled in fear. Who was this Asian? Who was the man in the cage? What did they want to do? Sir, I'm really sorry for what happened just now. Don't say sorry to me, Chen Zhao interrupted Jessie. Chen Zhao interrupted Jessie. I don't need to hear the word sorry. You've hurt me. You've caused severe trauma to my heart. What do you want us to do? Chen Zhao pointed at the cage not far away. Do you know why it's so big? The 2 women looked at the huge bear that was eating the body and shook their heads instinctively. Because it eats people, Chen Zhao said. Human meat seems to stimulate the bear's growth. Maybe it's because humans eat fast food for a long time. There's a lot of hormones in it, so it has an effect on the bear. You must be curious about how many people it has eaten, right? Who the hell wants to know, they thought. The 2 women were about to pee their pants. They had never seen such a terrifying thing. Feeding people to bears. Let's talk inside. Chen Zhao warmly invited the 2 women into the headquarters. But their feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. They wouldn't move a single step. Chen Zhao looked at the 2 women. Or do you want to go into the cage, and we can talk through the cage? The 2 women immediately moved and followed Chen Zhao. At this moment, 2 black-clothed men dragged a girl over. The girl looked to be about 16 or 17 years old. She cried and screamed. Sir, let me go, let me go. I was wrong, I know I was wrong. I only took goods worth less than $1,000. I'll make up for my mistake. Don't kill me. Chen Zhao moved away and waved his hand in disgust. Put her in the cage. Under Risa and Jessie's gaze, the girl was sent into the cage. Do you want to see her get eaten? The 2 women were even more terrified. Their bodies stiffened. They turned their heads. not daring to look at the cage in the distance. But the sound still came. It was a desperate and heart-wrenching scream. Just then, Wes came to Chen Zhao's side. Sir, Princess seems to be too full. Really? You're lucky. Chen Zhao looked at the two. You can live one more day. Risa and Jessie didn't know if they should be happy or desperate. In a direction they couldn't see, Helis and Jalag were coming out of the cage. Princess came out with them. Chen Zhao brought Risa and Jessie into the living room and sat on the sofa. You two sit too. The two women didn't dare to sit. They stood before Chen Zhao trembling. Just then, Henry walked over with a tray. He seemed very nervous too. The tray in his hand fell to the ground. Henry paled in fear. Sir, I'm sorry. No need to be sorry. Chen Zhao smiled. The two men in black walked up and dragged Henry out. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.